Yo, 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 what's up, what's up, what's up? Give up the rock. And hello to my fellow revolutionaries. You know who you are. Jerry Poppins, straight off the bat, will AI take your job only if you're too lazy to find another one? Well, hit the nail on the head. And I really don't have much else to contribute to today's stream after that pretty direct and concise contribution there. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you, everybody, for coming along. It's been wonderful. And a special thanks to you, Jerry Poppins, for your contribution. You've ended the stream. Thank you very much. Ollie Atlas, Lapjeff in the house. Brothers, how are we? Ollie Atlas, returning to the stream culture. Love it. Welcome back. Welcome back. Today we're going to be asking the hard questions. And I'm not going to get derailed by anyone. So please don't try. I swear. Such a quick stream. Yeah. I swear that doesn't normally happen. It usually goes for longer than that, I swear. Avalava in the stream chat. It's good to have you. Welcome. And yes, today we are going to be asking the hard questions. The question on every working person's lips this far into the 21st century. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, is AI going to take your job? That's what she said. What you say. That's what she said. I swear. But yeah. Is AI going to take your job? I think it is a profound question to be asking. It is something that working people have continually had to ask themselves throughout the existence of capitalism. Really, I get to say it once every stream. Depends how menial the job is. Here we go. See, I knew people are going to have some interesting opinions on this one. So I want to put this out there to all the average people out there, all the general workers, us commoners, the plebs, cattle class, the ones that make the value and trade it all for a wage. That's right, you and me, and all of you in the stream today. You know, generally, what do you think is going to happen there? And so Ollie Atlas, straight off the bat, depends if it's menial, and we will get, I think, down to the bottom of what that really means today and what the ramifications of that are. But I think this is one of the biggest questions facing the working class or our interest group of the current day and age. It's a question that has really been asked now appropriately in this context of AI for a couple of years now, but a little bit longer than that. We have been asking these types of profound questions in terms of how technology is going to replace the need for human labor for a long time, and it comes in waves of new technological innovation. This is nothing new. Marx was talking about this in relation to the fact that one of the defining features of this type of economy, of a market economy, is the fact that it constantly seeks to revolutionize the means of production. So the technology that is used by working people to produce value is constantly changing, constantly evolving, if you will, at the behest of the capitalist class, who are injecting money and investment and further capital into their enterprises. It is continually changing the technology that affects the productivity of the workers. First comment already censored. Jag, really? You're obviously in trouble with the algo already. It's good to see you. I guess I should expect nothing less. We will dive into the definition of menial, or what it means to have your job taken, ? Who benefits from that? Who loses? That's a bloody good question. These are all profound questions, and let's rock the boat. Let's shake the tree. Let's see what falls out today as we investigate this one. I changed careers to a completely different industry at age 30. I'm straight up tarded. So if I can do it for no reason at all, anyone can learn something new if they have to. Now, see, what you're describing there, Jerry, is a general understanding that I think has come with a lot of modern society after the industrial age, where, okay, some technology comes in, like automation, and there's huge layoffs in a particular industry, but that doesn't mean it's the end for these working people. They need to reskill or reappropriate themselves and move into another industry or move into another line of work, or start a business and pull themselves up by their bootstraps, the usual rhetoric. But there is always somewhere moving, and there's room to move in a dynamic economy, a growing economy, which is the holy grail and the promise of the free market society, is that it's always growing and moving. And so there's always employment to be had somewhere for someone who looks for it. All they have to do is look. Ask and you shall receive. That usual rhetoric. As long as there is an economy that's thriving, there will be. It doesn't matter if there are layoffs or technological changes. The people that are wanting to get involved with the economy, roll up their sleeves, they will find salvation. It will be granted to them from on high. Dilemmas in the house up players was going on. So that is the general conversation. That is the general rhetoric. Aren't most jobs in capitalist systems that just make a bunch of crap menial? Yeah, well, actually, I guess anything that adds to the pile of crap that we have, then it's not really adding any sophisticated value, I guess you could say. Usually the menial things. Yeah, I guess so. It's a scathing way of putting it, though. A lot of concise and scathing commentary going on so far in the chat. Why was that censored? Because you said crap, maybe. I don't know. If AI takes your job, it's your fault. Yeah, for being an unproductive member of society that can be replaced by an algorithm. You're the problem, which is also the usual rhetoric that is fed to us humble people in the economy class. As I said, tarded. Well, even someone like yourself, Jerry, is able to adapt, reappropriate themselves, reskill, and go on to do bigger and better things. Again, here's the premise, though, or here's the promise behind that, is there is a dynamic economy that is allowing there to be significant progress, so there will always be room for full employment. But this is the thing, right? This is the difference with the hype of the AI revolution, is that it's going to attack every industry at some point. It'll attack some more aggressively than others. And so the existential problem this time is that AI automation, or I guess we'll just describe it as automation. The automation that comes with artificial intelligence and machine learning is something that is going to displace workers en masse in a way that will not allow them to simply reskill or move into other industries en masse. There will be a fundamental change in the labor to capital relationship. So the people that do all the working versus the people that do all the stuff that sets the economy into motion. And there's a fundamental difference going on there, because their capital will be backed up by a technology that takes away a human skill itself, the ability to do, as people have been describing so far, as menial tasks, or tasks that are potentially repetitious, tasks that can be automated, tasks that can that deal with a lot of things like data entry and entry-level work, things that are done by people that are starting their careers. Just like electricity attacked every industry, Come on, lad. Yes, yes, I agree. But electricity as a revolutionizing technology is a form of energy. It's like replacing firepower or replacing steam. Electricity is the energy input. It's not replacing humans themselves. What you could, I guess, talk more about is like how we've traditionally replaced people with robotic automation in assembly lines in factory settings. That is literally replacing humans. We've dealt with large waves of human strength being replaced by machinery. So horsepower or the incredible precision, accuracy, and strength of machines in the like replacing human strength has been a large revolutionizing force in the modern economy. Before, you had like teams of people that would be able to help dig out a particular area so you could build a bridge or you could make a tunnel or something like that. But like now we have machinery that does all of that stuff. So machinery has been able to replace strength in human labor. And now, though, the difference with this type of revolution is not like, an energy input like strength or electricity, but it is a difference in cognitive ability. We are reducing cognitive function in human, which is the skill that has defined us in terms of all other technological revolutions to this point. We haven't been able to replicate exactly what makes us autonomous or agents in the laboring process, like decision making. There hasn't been the level of incursion of technology into the decision-making process than what we're talking about now. So whether that is very rudimentary decision-making, like sorting something out, like I said, data entry, to, preparing a legal brief, if you work in a legal firm or something of that nature, these are all skills that are essential to develop in order to extend your career. And AI isn't coming after the senior stuff, but it's going to be taking away cognitive work, which is a skill set, I believe, that up until the point of information technology, digital technologies, computer technologies, until that has developed to a certain point, we haven't had exactly a full-blown attack on the amount of people it takes to run the economy. This again is not just a simple displacement of people in a specified area. The way they're speaking about it anyway is that it's going to change everything. Give me one bloke in an excavator over 10 blokes with shovels any day. Yeah, exactly, right? And so like that is like an energy output and strength equation. Humans just don't have the ability to work as well as that heavy machinery. Doesn't matter how many you put there. Even if you gave me 100, like they'd still, they get in the way of each other. And would they do a good job? Give me one AI data input system with one bloke who monitors monitors it over 18 grads any day. And so this is the long and the short of the conversation now, Jerry Poppins. Is this a replacement now of human cognitive ability that will only get more and more extensive, and you won't need oversight anymore? And that's where the conversation is going. I don't think we're at a point where we need, where we're getting rid of senior level people in any stretch of the imagination, or we're getting rid of people that oversee these AIs that are making decisions. But like, let me just tell you the one difference about the excavator example and the one with the data input system, which has someone monitoring it. With the bloke who runs the excavator. They are making the decisions for the excavator. Now, the data input that's done by an AI and watched over by a bloke who's supposed to be checking it is the data system, the AI data input system that you've described is making its own choices. And so unless that person is going to go through and check every single one of those data entry points, you have to have the faith in the data or the AI system that it's doing its job properly. And this stuff is prone to making mistakes, and in the right test environments has been proven to make its own decisions that may be contrary to what the directive was that were given for multiple reasons. Maybe it's decided that it doesn't want to do it and it thinks it can do it another way, or you haven't given it the right instruction and so it goes off and does the wrong thing. They'll always find a way to keep the peons busy, or they might have too much time to properly organize. Now, this is a valid point, but in the hype train that is AI at the moment, they're not talking about this. They're talking about, giving us, all of a sudden UBI is a great idea and they should be giving it all to us because, we're all going to be jobless soon anyway, fueling more discussions and more fuel and fire about this AI hype. So yes, I hear you. They'll find a way to keep us busy. And yeah, what way will that be? I don't know. I don't know how they'll keep us busy, distracted fighting one another. They'll intensify the culture wars and identity politics, I'm assuming. That'll keep us all very, very occupied. It does a very good job already. But here is the big thing, right? And this is what I will put to you after saying, kind of painting the picture of what the narrative is, which seems to be a bit, hole-ridden, as Jerry has been trying to poke holes in it. But here's the thing. AI hype may just be that, AI hype. At the end of the day, we have got a bunch of tech bros from Silicon Valley and supported by people from all over the place who are venture capitalists. Okay, we are, I hate this term. I hate these people. But they are venture capitalists. And what venture capitalists do is they are these incredible and altruistic people that see something that hasn't got legs yet, but they have a vision and they see that it may be the next big thing, and so they invest in it. And they invest in something with the understanding that it might not turn a profit for the next few years, and they're okay with that. They're comfortable with that because, high risk, high return. If this is the next big thing, then they're going to be billionaires again on top of their current billionaire status. And so venture capitalists have produced this world where they have backed the AI horse, and they have spent the last, decade or more pumping hundreds of billions of dollars into AI. Arguably trillions of dollars. But let's just go with hundreds of billions of dollars. And AI, while it has produced some awesome chatbots, it makes some sick images and it has some awesome video generation that produces some very unsavory videos that circulate on social media and can do all these interesting things. Can write music, can organize your day. It can even help you personally with your own goals. It can do all these wonderful things on the side. It hasn't actually turned a profit for these venture capitalists. It has done things that has just, supported and made human life just a little bit more interesting and exciting around the edges, a little bit prettier. But it's not returning on that investment. And the venture capitalists are coming home to roost. They want to see some type of return on their investment. And they're not going to get that from average people like you and me talking to ChatGPT and be like, I was just trying to figure out what is Einstein's theory of relativity. They're not going to get any money from people like you and me asking random questions of ChatGPT. ChatGPT 5 for instance. Like, what a flop that has been. Like, they're not going to get anything from us using this technology. So they have to push it onto the business sector, where that's where the money is. And so the AI hype about, hey, it's going to, in the next 2 years, replace 60 million jobs. Like, who has these conversations? Who? The godfather of AI? Sam Altman? Elon Musk? Who's trying to push his robots onto us at the moment? That's his next big plan. They are looking for an enormous customer base for this product that they've spent a lot of money on making, that is literally doing nothing for them financially right now. And I'm all for people just pumping up and developing technology just for the sake of it. I think they should be developing AI for the sake of it. I really, really think they should be doing that. But that is not how a capitalistic system works. They have fronted the cash and they want to see a return on their investment. And so I would put it to you, chat, that the AI hype, especially when it comes to jobs and replacing humans and all of that particular hype, is a mythology that has been built up by tech bros and people that have invested in AI in order to convince people in the business sector that they should buy their products, and then they can score wins on the board themselves by just firing half their workforce. They've developed the productive forces, the means of production, which usually is done by the businesses themselves. They invest in their own means of production to increase the productivity of their laborers so they can get more out of their laborers or their workers, and then decide, hey, do I really need a team of 20 people working on this project? Because they've increased their productivity, and either I keep 20 people and have double the productive capacity, or I have the same productive capacity and just cut half of my workers and cut them down to 10. Now, the shoe's on the other foot. We've got all these venture capitalists out there that have been like, shit, we've developed this technology and like we could use it to replace all of these workers out there, because like we've got to do something with it. Now we've got to convince the business community to make sure that they take on this technology and say, hey, you could save so much of your costs in terms of just like replacing your entire customer service center. You don't need to hire interns anymore. Just replace them all with AI. Just get them to do your data entry, get them to do your admin. I think Jag has showed us stuff on the Discord before, and other people have actually produced people reposting Twitter messages or like community boards from their organizations and their workplaces, and like, CEOs of companies are turning around to their staff, so their middle management, and saying, look, we're freezing hiring. We're not hiring people anymore. We are not doing that until you guys go out, you middle managers go out and figure out what tasks AI can assist you with. If AI can start doing jobs for you, if AI can start doing tasks that you might have needed actual staff, 2 or 3 staff to do on a daily basis, and like that can now be those rudimental or fundamental things can be done by AI, make sure it happens. Get AI to figure it out. To produce your own GPT, that can do it for you. Figure it out. And then like we're going to freeze the hiring until you come back. And so companies are developing these AI strategies because they're being told by the tech bros that, hey, you don't get onto this. You don't get on the front foot with this one. You're going to be left behind. And the business sector never wants to hear that. No one in the business sector ever wants to hear that there's some new breaking technology that's going to revolutionize the way that we do business. It's going to change the economy forever. And they were the ones that didn't jump on it at the right time. That is like the one thing that just scares the shit out of the entire business community. They don't want to be the ones that didn't get on it and now are paying the price for it, or they're being destroyed and their business is, now bankrupt and being consumed by some big private equity firm or something like that. And so I would think from a, material kind of capitalistic analysis of this situation, that we've got one section of the capitalist class that has produced a technology that it can't do anything with because it hasn't reached a point where it is as sophisticated and as amazing as it promises to be, which I still believe that it is potentially an amazing technology. It is an absolute game changer, as game changing as electricity was. And like beyond that, because it actually replaces human cognitive skill with something else. This is something that I do not think we've dealt with before, but I think they're just trying to cash in halfway through. It's taken too long. It hasn't changed much, but like it can do some things, so we might as well get it started. And they're pushing that onto their colleagues in the business sector, who they're basically preying on and trying to convince them, take on this stuff and you can you can fire your workers. And nothing saves costs in a capitalistic environment like cutting workers. Workers are they're just a terrible expense. They're a terrible expense. You know, they don't work all day like AI does, or like systems do, or machinery can. You know, they can only work for like what, 7-8 hours, 10 if you're lucky. And then they demand things like conditions. They want breaks. And they don't work at actual capacity. Like no one works 100% of the time that they're at work. They might, if you're lucky. They also fart. They also fart. But like, you know, they only work at like 80% capacity if you're lucky. And that's if you've got a really good manager watching them and like setting up some good systems so they do what they're supposed to be doing and producing value. And like, yes, they have other expenses outside of that. They expect, you know, they're supposed to be, you know, team cultures and have to have Christmas parties or, you know, pizza parties or something like that. They're just full of additional expenses that can't be accounted for nicely. Okay. And they're just a waste. And they've been like that. Like one of the defining features of capitalism itself before the Industrial Revolution has been this idea of producing technology to take the power away from workers, in the sense that like if you need workers to do something specific, they technically have some power there, because, you know, if they all disappear tomorrow, your business falls over. But if you buy technology, you buy AI, it's not going to just disappear tomorrow. It's not going to walk off the job. Yeah, it might have technical difficulties, but you can get someone in to fix that. But like, it's not going to unionize and decide that it actually has something to bring to the table, which you might be interested in, so it can hold that over you. And so like capitalists or bosses or investors have always understood that workers are nothing but trouble. It will be more difficult to buy things if AI is replacing jobs en masse and capitalists continue to exploit wage labor for everyone else. It will be, but they don't really think about the macroeconomics of it. I don't think they care about the macroeconomics of it. And look at the tech bros themselves. Look at Sam Altman in his little ode to AI, one of his critical essays that he has written. One of the first things he talks about is, hey, AI is coming, it's going to displace the workforce. It's going to be a societal shift, unlike anything that we've ever seen. You know what we need? We need UBI. They don't give a shit. They're like, look, people can still buy shit. That's what governments are for. Governments can give them a stipend, give them a little bit of an allowance. Here's $5. Don't spend it all at once, unless you're spending it on a subscription to my services. Oh, in that case, come all the way, please. Okay? So like, again, they've got ways around this, the tech bros. But they're pushing a story onto the business sector to convince them to take up their technology so they can start to turn a profit on it. And they're fear-mongering amongst the working classes of the world, the working people, the average people that make a living out there, the working people. They're fear-mongering among us, so then we aren't so surprised when the big companies start laying off people. People can be like, oh, well, I wasn't tarded. I figured out that I had to get out of my job early. I did it. You should have done it too. And then that fractures the working class. Instead of the working class being like, "Oi, that's not acceptable. We still want jobs. You can't lay us off like this. We're not going to stand for that. We're going to vote for someone, or we're going to start a movement that fixes this problem." No, we're already being supplanted. Right now, like in your mind, it's being put inside your head, this narrative, that like, yeah, if you don't do it, if you've been caught up in this storm that is the AI revolution that's going to take all of your jobs, it's your fault. You should have paid attention. We've been telling you this for long enough. It's your fault that you don't have a job anymore. And so the guilt's on you. And that's what the fear-mongering is about. Now, I am not saying that AI is not coming to replace tens of millions of jobs. It probably is. I would say over a much larger or longer period than those clickbait videos that you might see on your social media. That's like, oh, all these jobs will be finished in by the end of 2025, like kind of thing. Like it's gone. Everyone's just going to disappear by the end of the year, and no one will exist anymore. You see that clickbaity stuff all the time, but that's just part of the manufacturing consent, the Overton window, whatever you want to call it. This is how they frame the conversation in order to convince the business sector they have to buy their shit, which is really just shit at the moment, and how they prep all of us just plebs about accepting these mass layoffs that are coming. Accept them. Don't question it. Don't organize against it. If anything, you're to blame. You're to blame. The AI debate also feels strange because it feels like fighting against progress, which is inherently against human nature. That's an interesting point, isn't it? Yeah. You don't hate progress, do you? Hey? No, I just want to make sure that, we're all protected here. Not just the Silicon Valley people and their friends in Wall Street or whoever's funding them. No. You hate progress because you don't like AI. No, I'm just saying, man. Just saying. AGI is 6 months away. As it has been for 3 years now. Yes, thank you, right? And you were at the start of the year, right? Before ChatGPT 5 was dropped, hey? That was AGI. They had said that they have reached AGI. And we got it now. And what a underwhelming experience that's been. Yo, at Mr. E, you're giving away the game. Shut up. They're trying to sell another rental extraction system here. Yes, it is definitely. The Rentier class is back. And you know what? Marx hated, I think, one group of people more than the capitalists, and it was the Rentier class. They produce no value. They just suck money or capital and value out of the system. Rentier classes suck. And that's what the tech bros are right now. They produce some interesting technology, but they're setting up for subscription models and the domination of the entire economy, as opposed to just being a value-driving sector of the economy. Interesting. This article is a bit relevant, Mr. E. Here's an actual article. Generative AI does nothing for 5% of companies. MIT NADA study finds only 5% of organizations using AI tools in production at scale. There you go. Well. I might have to have a look at that soon, actually. Thank you very much. If they can't, Ollie Atlas, if they can't make the money they want with it efficiently in enough time, they'll drop it. Interesting. I wonder if they will drop it or not. They're getting data back from the average person, the most valued commodity in history. It's an unrealistic estimation. It'll take decades for AI to replace jobs. I do think it'll be a slower rollout than that. AI doesn't buy things. No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's not like us in the consumer class who overlap. Like if there was a Venn diagram of the consumer class and the working class, like it's, massive overlap, massive overlap. AI might not buy things, but it convinces us to. That's funny, actually. It's a good one. Might be a controversial view, but anyone whose primary contribution is to suck is okay by me. Look, it may not be as controversial as you think. And, if AI is coming for your job, Jerry, there may be a lot more sucking going on because, like, what else are humans going to do, right? Okay. So, in saying all of that, let's go to Bloomberg. Okay, so like one of the centers of the business sector in terms of its contribution to our understanding of economics. Let's look at one of the holy grails of current bourgeois culture and see how they are assessing this situation at the moment. Let's see what they have to say about this. And I'll get off my soapbox for a little bit because I'm sure you're sick of being lectured to. But don't hold your breath for long. I will start lecturing you again. And don't pretend like you don't love it because I know you do. So let us have a look at ye old Bloomberg, shall we? All right. Well, I thought you had a sick transition for a second. No, that was just the music. It's just the YouTube video. It's really loud. It is a sick transition sound though. Bloomberg Tech Europe.
You are watching Bloomberg Tech Europe. Coming up, from the job cuts at Microsoft and Salesforce to Meta's multi-billion-dollar hiring spree. AI's impact on the labour market.
Have you heard about what Meta's doing? Just for anyone who's not down with like all the glory and the drama of what's going on in the AI world at the moment. All the talk is gone. It's not AGI anymore. No one gives a shit about artificial general intelligence. All the hype 12 months ago was AGI. Then some people started dropping the term artificial superintelligence, ASI, if you've heard of it. Now AGI is a thing of the past and it's all about superintelligence. And so Meta have been spending big time. They have been offering, are you ready? Sit down. Sit down. They have been offering AI researchers $100 million contracts. They have offered people 300, AI engineers making more than professional athletes, $300 million contracts. $300 million contracts. That's what they are. It's a really good analogy. AI engineers are like sports stars. They are really high value commodities. Like Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, a multi-billionaire, has decided that he needs to be in on this race. And so he is giving people $100 million contracts because they're supposedly the best in the field. And he wants to get on top of artificial superintelligence. Because, general artificial intelligence, that was so 2024. We're all into super intelligent AI now, and they don't want to miss. They don't want to miss it. But like all this says, it really talks about is the fact that they have absolutely no faith in the fact that their AI is really worth anything at the moment. Like I said it, like I've said it before, it's cool. It does some creative shit, but it's not revolutionizing the economy by any stretch of the imagination. And so they're all on the next big hype train, and they don't want to miss it. And this just shows you how I think misguided the tech bros themselves are. These are people that got on the wave of technology at a certain point and became billionaires, the tech bros, because they invested in the right time and they did really well with the technology that they started, whether it be something in social media, whether it be in operating systems, whether it be in like computing, like physical, like hardware. Maybe they produced the best laptops, or they produced smartphones at a time when it was just right to do so. And these tech bros therefore think that they can predict what the next biggest thing is going to be, and they're going to be at the forefront of that. But that is not what has actually happened. They were at the forefront once, and they haven't actually been able to figure it out again, but they don't want to miss out. And so it's all about super intelligence now. But yeah, $100 million contracts. $100 million contracts? Mental. Engineer gets a $100 million contract. Let's have a look at this. And then we'll go back to Bloomberg. This is going to be interesting. Very funny. Is that the same guy that's from like the people that did the video on Palantir? That's not the same people, is it? That guy was hilarious. Things that go boom boom, bang bang, and all that sort of stuff. I wonder if he's from Good Work. Same guy. Okay, right. Very nice. Very nice. Interesting. Yeah, Good Work. Okay. Oh my God. I thought he was going to scream into that bucket, to be honest. $100 million
It is already
contract.
being felt, but what will AI's longer-term effects be on the jobs available and how we do them? And from lifelike avatars to next-gen voice AI, meet the European innovators building the tools set to redefine the future of work. And how companies and employees can stay competitive in an AI-driven world. One founder says skill building is the key to survival.
You're the fucking problem. Remember that. You're the problem. What happened then? Oh my God.
Interestingly, and we're seeing this, the companies
That's the thing. It's you the problem. If you get replaced, it's your fault. You should have been on the cutting edge of this stuff.
are able to move fastest are not the ones spending huge amounts of money on applied AI engineers, but they're the ones who are basically saying this is an everyone problem. Right? It's not about technologists. It's actually about how do we get people in non-technology roles all in on using AI.
So we will be exploring these questions with founders and execs from leading AI firms racing, of course, to reshape the future of the workplace. Welcome to Bloomberg Tech Europe. So from factory floors to trading desks, artificial intelligence is, of course, transforming the way we all work. But is it also taking our jobs? Take a listen. Experts say millions of roles involving repetitive tasks, from clerical positions to logistics, could vanish in the next decade.
All junior level jobs in any industry are at high risk.
But estimates of how many jobs will be affected vary widely. Goldman Sachs projects 300 million jobs could be exposed to automation over the next 10 years, with roughly 2/3 of current roles likely to be changed by the use of AI. And the World Economic Forum reckons that in 5 years' time, the proportion of work tasks performed mainly by machines will grow from just over 1/5 to more than 1/3. But what do we know about the impact that AI is already having in the workplace?
AI is doing 30 to 50% of the work at Salesforce now. And I think that that will, continue.
Earlier this year, Microsoft announced 2 rounds of layoffs affecting up to 16,000 workers, partly driven by AI efficiencies.
16,000 workers. Fucking savage, bro. Savage. And what are those people in? Like, what are they? Like, computer scientists? Engineers? What are they doing? Tech support? Like, far out. 16,000 people. My God.
An Amazon CEO recently warned that AI would see a reduction in that company's total headcount, although the firm is not yet laying off staff. But it's not all one-way traffic. If you ask ChatGPT about the AI impact on jobs, it predicts the technology will also create.
Isn't it really lame when they do this stuff? And they're just like, oh, let's just ask ChatGPT what it thinks about it replacing the human race. Like they're the only people that have ever thought of doing that. Hey, we do it all the time. It's not creative at all. All right, we've been doing it for a long time.
Create millions of new roles in data engineering and human AI collaboration. And that same World Economic Forum report predicts AI, robotics, and related technologies will add 170 million jobs by 2030. If that comes to pass, the world will have more total jobs in 5 years' time, not fewer.
Well, there's your usual prediction, right? When it comes to this type of stuff, history will show you that when there is some replacing technology, things proliferate elsewhere as a result of that. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. Well, what's the point? If AI is going to replace everything, why would there start to be jobs being created on a magnitude like that elsewhere in the economy? Doesn't really make sense. It's not kosher with the rest of the AI hype description that's happening at the moment, if you ask me.
Okay, so that's setting the stall for you in terms of some of the forecasts. Meanwhile, London-based Synthesia uses AI to create lifelike video avatars based on humans, which can be deployed in a range of scenarios, including things like customer support, sales, and staff training. It is valued at over $2 billion US, counts 80% of Fortune 100 companies as customers. And for a view on how their products are reshaping the labour market and the workforce, I spoke exclusively to Synthesia's co-founder and CEO, Victor Ripabelli, about the company's technology and what it does mean for jobs.
Really what we do at Synthesia is actually very simple. It's just we help our companies deliver those messages in video instead of text. And that's very important because when you look at the online economy today, it's just very, very clear. People want to watch and listen, right? It's almost becoming table stakes now if you want to land a message with someone that has to be video and audio, especially when you look at the younger generation. The problem with that, of course, always been that making video and audio content is much more labor intensive and much more expensive in dollars than it is to write an email to someone or say share a document. And so what we've done is kind of two things. We've invented a technology where you can make videos with AI, and we made it so easy that it's kind of like making a PowerPoint. And so what that means is that everyone can now make videos. So we've enabled all the people who used to make lots of PowerPoints to write documents to create videos. And when you look at the impact this has, it is just phenomenal. You know, we work with companies like Zoom, for example, who are training a sales force of like 1,000 people. And the efficiency gains that they see and the reduction in cost of creating that content is just huge, right?
And you talked about translation. Yeah. You've also launched an AI dubbing piece of software as well, or product. What is it? What does it do? And how do you expect that to be used and deployed in your corporate and enterprise clients' workplaces?
Yeah. So translating video historically, it's been very difficult, right? Most of the time it's done with subtitles, and even making subtitles, right, is actually like a quite laborious process. Like you need to first have a transcript of the video, then you need to like sit down, translate it, upload it again, do all the timings correctly. That's a pretty laborious process. You can also do dubbing, which in some locales, especially in Europe, have been, I think in Germany, for example, a lot of films are dubbed where actually someone speaks in German over the film, right? Which to people who didn't grow up with that is very strange and definitely like really, you know, decreases kind of the value of that content. With AI dubbing, we've made it very simple. So you simply just drag and drop whatever video you have into our system. And then what we do is we automatically transcribe the video, right? So we have all the text. We translate it with machine translation, which is by now like really high quality. We clone the voices of the speakers in that video, and then we translate to whatever language that you want to have it in, right?
It allows you to take any video, say this one from Bloomberg Tech Europe. Welcome back to Bloomberg Tech Europe. Now, SAP's recent growth has been powered by a pivot to the cloud, with the company leaning heavily into artificial intelligence. Then, with the click of a button, the tool translates the video into a language of your choosing, with reanimated facial expressions and lip movements. How about Ukrainian?
Вітаємо знову на Bloomberg Tech Europe.
Останнє зростання SAP було зумовлене переходом до хмари, а компанія активно впроваджує штучний інтелект.
But it's essentially like a one-click way of
Ooh, there it is. Good luck. Hey, it's increasing productivity. Hey, is it replacing workers or is it producing more with what they have already? And then it's the businesses that decide, hey, whether or not they fire the people that they've got. Now I've got double productivity. Do I make twice as much value or do I cut half of my staff? The age-old question. It's a choice. It's a choice. And in a world of private property, then you're not going to really have much more than people making profitable decisions. Let's just go with whatever's profitable, as opposed to what might be best for the organization, which would be more of a socialistic way of having a look at that organization's structure. You just do it based on pure profits. Very, very interesting. And like, look at all this stuff is just going to replace actors, basically. You know, to pay for actors, you don't have to pay for people doing dubbing or translating stuff for you. Seeing the caliber of young persons I see in my factory, maybe AI isn't such a bad thing. Cook the books, avatars, equal people, equal jobs. But what does this mean for PowerPoint? Yeah, I know, right? Microsoft must be, you know, very upset by this recent development, right? Very, very upset. Very interesting.
Translating video content. And it's just
Pretty
now that
cool
the AI
tech,
models
though.
are as good as they are across transcription, translation, you know, text.
They're not that great. All right. They're not that great. I have to use this technology all the time. And like, it's good. Okay. It's really good. It's amazing what it can do now, but it's not fucking, you know, there's still a lot of tweaking that you have to do. Yes, it's made things more productive. You can produce this stuff faster than you could before. It's, you know, still takes a while. You still got to do a lot of editing stuff and tweaking all over the place. They're selling it. This guy's selling it. Synesthesia. Victor over here is really pushing it.
To speech or voice cloning and video editing as well. It's just phenomenal the results you get out, right? So you can imagine you can take all the videos you already have and instantly make them available in 12 different languages.
In 12 different languages. You're also updating, you have a next generation avatar that shows full body movement as well, that aligns with what that avatar is saying, the content of that speech. Where do you expect that to be used? What is the use case for that?
There's a couple of different things. So the first one is just increasing the kind of floor quality of all the videos that are made with Synthesia. So if you look at the videos we made, you know, 4 years ago, the avatars were not as good quality, the voice was not as good quality, still had a use in a lot of, you know, use cases, but the quality could be better, right? And all those videos that people have already been making, so all the use cases we serve today, customer support, product marketing, training, learning, etc., all those are just going to be better because the video is going to be better, right? And that's going to result in increased engagement for whoever's watching that video. So there's kind of one dimension of this just being more of what it already is, but just better. And that's very clearly a thing. The other one is that it unlocks new use cases, right? So we've always had...
Well, I'm over this one. I thought they were actually going to start talking more or keep talking about like the impacts on the economy as opposed to just really advertising for this douchebag. Let's see if they... Poly AI CEO. Let's see what he has to say.
There will be fewer of these jobs, but these jobs have been on the decline for a very long time now, right? Both internally and in BPOs, the number of people, like the attrition is really high, people quit, it's hard to bring them back in. And COVID really was the catalyst where this started happening. And it's not uncommon to see a contact center which churns 200% of their workforce in a year. So these jobs, much like think of agriculture at the turn of the 19th and 20th century, like it was going down, people were moving to cities, and we kind of knew that the jobs of the future are going to look different. I think there's pretty broad consensus that there are 3 areas where it's going to reshape the world in a major way in the next 2 to 3 years, 5 years. Customer service, which is what we do. Then you've got, I think, legal, where I think just the ability to kind of like do a lot of the work and accelerate legal work is a big area, and you have a lot of companies working on that. And then the final and most maybe counterintuitive one is software engineering, right? In that, you know, companies have now like made major leaps towards creating tools that make engineers so much more efficient. So I think that, you know, we will build more, but there is like a genuine, you know, it's funny that the people building the automation are the ones that are most likely to get automated first. I think it's cosmic justice. It only makes sense.
Cosmic justice. Get fucked, bro. You don't care about cosmic justice. Come on. Well, look, there you go. These are the types of things. Lawyers, eh? Not too upset about that one. Not too upset about that one at all, actually. Who cares about the lawyers? 2, customer service, which is something that has been on the forefront of being automated forever. All right, they just replaced. If they couldn't automate it, they just send it off to the global south somewhere. So there was an army of people on phones that you could get at a quarter of the price of doing it in your home country to do the customer service work for you. And then software engineers. Hey, do you know any people that work in software engineering? Anyone who's working in tech at the moment? Hey, watch out. These are the areas. This is well far from this, again, this narrative, this mythology of hundreds and hundreds of millions of jobs are going to be, you know, laid waste to over the next so many years, over the next couple of years, or by the end of the decade or something like that. That seems to be the real war cry of the tech bros at the moment. And, you know, business sector, don't miss out. You don't want to be the only person that has real people in their customer service department, do you? Do you? I'm just here to watch trash fire. How you going? We are praying for the machines to take over where I work. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? The culture in the business sector is like, yeah, people are jumping on this one. And like, yeah, business are very susceptible to this. Business culture is very susceptible to this stuff. You know, they don't want to be left behind, don't want to be behind the curb of anything sexy that might be happening. If there's no more lawyers, does that mean no more politicians? I think I'm coming around to this AI dystopia. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I wouldn't be too upset either way with that one, I must admit. I must admit indeed. Now, if you remember any of the AI hype from a decade ago, if you remember any of that, that was centered on the fact that of like 3D printers and automated robotic arms and all of this physical work that automation was going to be taking over. The conversation was very much about like, hey, there's all these machines out there, there's robotics now that is going to replace blue collar workers. It's going to replace people that work with their hands majoritively. And that was the conversation 10 years ago, that AI was actually going to be cutting all of these people out. And fast forward 10, 15 years later, and now we have people that are just like, oh, well, we've got pretty cool chatbots now. So like, let's get rid of customer service, and they can also read through information and process it really fast. So let's get rid of like lawyers, especially people that do things involving contracts and legal briefing. And then, you know, it writes code pretty well. Because what's that? Just, you know, it's producing language, basically. We can get it to write code too. So that is such a dramatic shift in the public, or the zeitgeist, that it was coming from the tech bros themselves about what was really going to be the next thing that was on the forefront of this, of the next technological revolution. And it just shows you they have no idea. They can't predict the future. How about that? No way of predicting the future. And again, this stuff really more fits with the idea that, okay, we got this technology up to this point. What can we do with it? And we got three things. Let's start with that and see how we go.
you know, producing the kind of data that allows us to train models that will impact our work the most when it comes to just like coding and that stuff. So I think those three will be impacted in a major way.
That was Nicola Murchich, co-founder and CEO of Poly AI. Coming up, I'm going to be joined by the chief executive and co-founder of Robin AI, a tech company shaking up the legal industry with AI-powered contract software. That is next. This is Blue.
Contracts, man. Contracts suck. Have you ever had to read through contracts for work? Contracts suck. You know what's only, what could possibly be worse than reading through contracts for work? Having to be there when they're writing the contracts for that. And if AI can do this in seconds, then, let it do it. I don't think people are going to be too upset about that, apart from these people that are trying to get into the industry for the first time and do all the legwork, right? This is the type of stuff we're talking about here. The robotic arm thing was proof that we have nothing to worry about. All of that tech was adopted and people still seem to have jobs. Yeah, it's just, you know what it is as well? There's another phenomenon that Marx talks about interestingly in Capital, which I thought was crazy. He gives this analogy of there were these ship builders on the Thames in London, and they had this technology where they could bring the ships in with great ease with these with mechanics, basically with, I guess, machines. And that, it would do the heavy lifting and pull the boats into the yards to be repaired or to be structured. And it was too expensive to roll out this technology to help the shipbuilding. And so instead they just hired scores and scores of laborers who would just attach massive ropes to these ships and pull them in by sheer force into the shipyards. And they line up on the Thames and they'd be pulling them in along the river, basically, so they could be built and repaired and restructured. And the phenomenon that he was describing is that there is a tipping point in a market economy, and if it's too expensive to spend money on a technology, even if it's more efficient, and it probably could do a better job than scores and scores of people doing it. If it's cheaper to hire the labor, capital will just hire the labor. And the thing about this job as well, it's not just that it's just cheaper. This was dangerous as work. This is really dangerous work, and people get injured, maimed, and potentially even killed all the time. And so it really was justified getting rid of the people from doing this work, because it's not even it was adding value to their lives. A lot of people were literally putting their lives into their own hands when they were doing this type of work. But hey, humans, disposable, technology, it's good. And it's pretty expensive. And so capital won't invest in things that are beneficial to more than just the bottom line. And so when it comes to these robotic arms, I'm sure we could have houses built now that are 3D printed and put together by teams of robots. You'd have to go out and set them up on site, and they could automate the process. You could have houses constructed very well. You could have robotics in there leveling out sites, setting up new subdivisions, and getting areas ready for real development. But it's too capital intensive. That technology is way too there's way too much money you have to front to be able to do that. And so, yeah, until the technology becomes cheaper, et cetera, then it'll tick over. But in the meantime, more than happy to churn through workers until we have to do that. Give me a big enough lever and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world. Yeah, interesting. He described the fact that profit wins. Well, yeah, the cost of the productive forces, I think, wins. in that case. I think that was the highlight of that example. Yes, profit was like the thing that made them make that decision. Ultimately, and it always really does boil down to that. But like, you could upfront that cost. You could upfront that cost and potentially make it back. But, I could just kill a whole bunch of people. And like, maybe I will save money in the long run. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Maybe labor costs will go up. Maybe it'll be hard to find these people because no one will want to do it soon. And then I'll just have to spend the money anyway. And I could have already gone on the front foot, but I'll take that risk. And yeah, capital, like the technology, all I'm trying to say is if we have the technology, don't expect capital to implement it. And like, we have some incredible technology out there. Some incredible technology. And this is an omen, I guess, for the AI industry itself. Just because we have this technology, does that mean that the business sector are going to apply it holistically like the tech bros want? We will find out. Guaranteed profit wins. Yeah, whatever gets to guaranteed profit, I guess. And that's betting it all. I'm going to bet it all. I'm sick of Bloomberg. I've tried to listen to bourgeois propaganda as much as possible, but it's not doing it for me. I really tried. Okay. All right, let's have a look at how this is potentially going to be rolling out. At the moment, they're just talking about AI being able to do rudimental things, coding, I guess, like basic coding, customer service, so chatting to people, reading contracts, which again, like, a monkey could do it, but it's just, oh my God, it's horrible work. But this is about agentic AI. So agentic AI is something that is a bit of a game changer in the conversation. And I think this is where the rubber hits the road in terms of cognitive capability. Because at the moment, the conversation really is about, set and forget AI. Can it just take over customer service roles? Okay, fine. Just let it take over customer service. And, you can have humans managing it or something. But agentic AI is really where a new development, it's not a new development, but it's a new layer on top of how this work could roll and like play out in real time, or in the real world, sorry, because you have agents that are coordinating between other AI systems to produce a result. It goes away, it understands an objective, and it makes its own decisions. This is where we're looking at a world now where humans are starting to be replaced on a larger and a larger scale thanks to agents, because agents are making decisions. They are using discretion. And again, this is what humans do. They use discretion. Technology up until now hasn't been something that uses discretion, really. It doesn't do that at all. It maybe, yes, replaces human effort or the mechanics of what humans do, but not our autonomous abilities. And I think this is where the conversation is going to start really turning now. And this is where they're placing their hopes on things as well, if you're a tech bro. So I thought it would be interesting to hear what they have to say about it. And this is the Financial Times, another, massively bourgeois organization. What's the conversation? Because they're trying to cut through the tech bro stuff as well and protect their financial interests as a larger interest group, the bourgeoisie here. And they want to know whether this stuff has got legs too before they pour their heart and soul into it, just because Sam Altman has said you better do this, as convincing as Sam Altman is.
We're entering a period of exponential change in the world, a new industrial revolution driven by technological advances. And our workplaces are already deeply impacted. Our human teams are being joined by agents, artificial intelligence that learns on the job and can perform multiple tasks and processes. Agentic AI may revolutionize the way we work and manage teams on a scale we haven't seen in 100 years or more. What might that mean for humans, for our jobs, and for the future of work?
They can take on increasingly complex tasks. I can give it a bunch of information, documentation from my work, so it knows me, my work, and then I can ask it to take that content and write me a paper.
Yeah, this is replacing which is kind of scary, but like, sucked in as well. This is replacing the professional managerial class. These are the people that are credentialed. They go to universities, they get jobs, they exist in this kind of this veil in between the working person and capital, between labor and capital, and they help manage capital on behalf of the capitalist class. And like, this is attacking them directly. This isn't customer service people who, are stressed out all the time and, are kind of the lowest of the low when it comes to the food chain in an organizational chart. This is middle management types that are kind of on the chopping block next. And like, that's a game changer for this type of capitalistic environment. Before, you had factory floor, capitalist, maybe a foreman. Then you had the rise of the managerial class as you had an increase in wealth generally, as we got more of a middle class, people working, getting educations, moving up from kind of just day laboring to taking on trades, taking on full occupations, taking up service positions. Then you had the rise of the managerial class. Agentic stuff challenges the managerial class directly, which is an interesting phenomenon. Again, attacking discretionary and cognitive work. But, how effective is it, honestly? How many times have you had a chat to an LLM and it just gave you crap? It just gave you crap back. They won't be replaced. You cannot remove the ability to cherry pick what information to convey with such ease. Okay, well, you can ask the agent then to give you options so you can pick from those options and then cherry pick away to make a good case to senior management. I've officially been blacklisted by the algo. No idea why my last comment was censored. I'm having a feeling that this general topic is not liked. Like, again, I don't know what's happened to this channel. I'm thinking I'm going to have to really consider starting a new one. But we're at 12 views generally. And at this point in a stream, it's like, on YouTube anyway, it's at least at like 40 or 50. I don't know if it's the topic. I don't know why this is such a sensitive topic. Can't be that. Notebook LM can create podcasts on docs you feed it. Yeah, pretty crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, Ollie Atlas, you're here too in the censored comments. AI are often programmed off a bias or run on inaccurate data. Yes. Yeah, massively. Yeah. And the bias in the data problem is a massive problem too. It comes up with some very unusual, to say it lightly, or just downright dystopic situations, like when they use it for policing and stuff like that, and the bias in the data starts coming out when they send police to certain areas, based on biases in the data, let's just say. Jack, there's a lot of words and phrases that I was surprised to have censored. It's not just you. Yeah, crazy. But I wonder if it's the topic. Interesting. Interesting. You've been blacklisted, man. I can't believe it. That was not really. Notebook LM can create podcasts. Like, what's wrong with that? It doesn't like you talking about Notebook LM, I guess. It's part of their suite. Maybe. Shmebby. All right, back to it.
I'm Isabel Berwick. I lead the FT's Working It brand, speaking, presenting, and writing about management, leadership, and workplaces. In this series, I'll explore some of the most pressing issues around the future of work and talk to senior leaders about how they are making work better. So, what is agentic AI? Very simply, I think of agentic AI like a wind-up toy. You set it up with access to multiple platforms and processes, give it a task, and off it runs, and carries on until the task is completed. Agents are capable of acting autonomously, making their own decisions, without much human supervision.
There's agentic AI, as the tech sector would like to explain it, and that is the idea of a completely autonomous technology in which AI takes control of something, doesn't need any kind of human interaction, and just goes ahead and gets the job done. Whatever it is you need doing, buying stock, talking to customers, interacting with internal employees, it's all done for you. The idea is it will just, you give it sort of a very broad remit and it will go and do everything at the same time.
In workplaces, agents can already approve expenses, onboard workers and clients, and collaborate on project ideas. They might also work in customer experience and
so what are all the listed things like that? Customer service, boom. Marketing, boom. Sales, app and software development, boom. IT infrastructure and ops, R&D, product teams, finance, HR, supply chain, procurement. Yeah, could help out with procurement. And it would take out some of the nepotism in procurement as well. Legal/other.
client management. Top tech firms have all launched tools intended to complete complex tasks with little or no human instruction. OpenAI just unveiled ChatGPT Agent in July. The technology is supposed to analyze and summarize information from your calendar and beyond, as well as devise plans based on what it finds, from breakfasts to briefings. Agents are embedding throughout organizations, from the recruitment stage through to management. Sounds scary? Top executives are already on board. I spoke to Colette Stahlbaumer, co-founder of the Microsoft Work Lab and general manager of Microsoft 365 Copilot. She leads the team behind the Microsoft Work Trend Index. When we met at the FT's Women in Business Summit in London this summer, I asked Colette to share her advice on what steps leaders should take with AI now, especially those leaders who haven't really got started yet.
Really, leaders seem to be ahead of employees. Last year when we looked at the data, employees were actually experimenting with AI in their work and leaders were actually kind of catching up. Now we see in the data that that has flipped. But still only 1% of companies say that they've completely implemented their AI strategy. So we're still in the early innings of this. The thing that's important to know now is if you haven't started yet, you're already behind.
Shall I go again?
So, how quickly will global workforces adopt agentic AI? Research company Gartner says that agentic AI use will skyrocket in the coming years. Gartner asked more than 3,000 business leaders how they will move forward with agentic AI, and nearly half say they are planning a conservative investment. There's also some suggestion that a lot of the AI hype is just that, hype.
I asked my colleague Melissa Hakeler, the FT's AI correspondent, to share her insights into what's happening right now.
A lot of it is hype, for sure. A lot of it is hype. People are really, really keen to see this being rolled out in the real world and also see a return for investment. Companies and investors have poured billions, if not trillions of dollars into this technology. And now the big question is, what is the killer app? What is this technology actually useful for? And we don't really know that yet. Companies everywhere have this almost FOMO or fear of missing out, that if they don't adopt and use this technology, they'll fall behind their competitors.
Optimists say that using the technology will help reduce workplace drudgery, leaving more time for employee creativity. I spoke to Zig Serafin, CEO of Qualtrics. Creativity will help.
Just listen to that one again. This is the age-old promise of bringing in new technologies for everything, not just in your workplace, but your lifestyle. Bringing in a washing machine or a dishwasher or a sewing machine. It's going to change your life.
Reduce workplace drudgery, leaving more time for employee creativity.
So, if you get rid of all the menial tasks, they swear on the Bible that it's going to reduce. If you get rid of your menial tasks, it's going to increase your ability to concentrate on creative work. What they show, I think what the evidence shows time and time again, anecdotally, of course, is that when people end up saving time somewhere, something else flies in, and then they are squeezed some other way, and they're expected to cover up for some other type of work. They'll take an employee away here or there, and they'll expect less people to pick up more tasks as a result of that. It's very, very rare that some technological change comes in, sweeps up some task that you used to have to do before, and now you've just got all this spare time on your hands, and like you can do your job better. You can actually do your job at a pace and with a level of satisfaction that actually gives you some type of meaning. No, if you're getting pumped before and they've taken a task away, you're just going to get pumped with something else. It's just the way it works. This isn't a sexist thing. I hate listening to people in this video. The tone, speech pattern, choice of phrasing. I hate it all. It's awful. It's awful. Squeeb89, welcome. Welcome. We're talking about the appeal, the hype of AI and how it's going to replace us all very, very soon. Well, so the hype goes. Yeah, it's very dry, this video, but it is the Financial Times, Jerry. Okay, just remember, we're just getting a bourgeois opinion on this situation, which they have actually been quite scathing, can I just say. They're just like, yeah, it's pretty hypey. You know, we're not really sure what's going to happen. Maybe it'll be a game changer. Maybe not. This is a very corporate video. It's intended for execs. Yeah, and this is the conversation. We're going to meet them where they are, the execs. Imagine a future where the use of generative AI to name important things like towns, inventions, planets, etc. Yeah, well, let it hallucinate on those things. See what it comes up with. My job is to replace people in tech. AI isn't the first tool on the block. My job is to replace people in tech. AI isn't the first tool on the block. Replace people in organizations with tech. Okay. Yeah, tell us more, Squeeby baby. That's right. I want to know exactly what it is you're replacing them with. If it's not AI, you must be the only company, according to places like the Financial Times and Bloomberg, you must be working for the only company that is not replacing people with AI, but some other form of tech.
Spoke to Zig Serafin, CEO of Qualtrics, a US-based experience management company. I asked him what the future will look like if and when our teams at work include...
What's an experience management company? You know what? I'm going to ask my research assistant, which I haven't done today, by the way. I feel a bit reluctant to bring AI into the conversation when we're trashing it so heavily. Not directly trashing it, just trashing the tech bro narrative. How about that? That sounds nicer. What is an experience management company?
Both future will US-based experience management company.
Ah, such corporate talk, isn't it? You're right. What the hell is an experience management company? I'm just not corporate enough. His job is to talk to managers. He's like the manager whisperer. Experience management is changing the perception of public interactions with a company. Sounds like a company that just has HR and no other department. That's what I was thinking. Oh my God, look at the size of the answer. Simple definition, an experience management company provides the software, tools, and expertise to help organizations listen to, understand, and act on feedback from their key stakeholders, primarily their customers and employees. Think of them as a central nervous system for a business relationships. They help a company measure the feelings, emotions, and perceptions of people have when interacting with their brand products. Oh my God, yeah, it's business slop. That's what it is. It's business slop. Service New South Wales is a good example where you change nothing about government, but puts a glossy front end on it, and customers think it's suddenly great. Lovely. Again, very scathing stuff going on in the chat there. Okay. Part of my job. Lovely.
I asked him what the future will look like if and when our teams at work include both humans and agents.
What that means is that the nature of work that can be agentic or that can become agentified or better automated or be able to take the rudimentary, basic, repetitive, highly predictive, rules-based tasks and have AI do that work, and then be able to allow people to spend time on things that are more human starts to change.
What's more human?
Means focusing on creativity, focusing on areas that require complex judgment, areas that require strategic thinking, areas that might require much more of craftsmanship and being able to require much more of a human approach to something. All of these forms are.
But won't AI just be able to do that too soon as well? Like, what's the difference? Like, you can write a book on what's strategic thinking, and if AI can digest an entire book, then it should be able to do that too. I don't think it's very well defined, all of this stuff. It's pretty wanky as well. I guess that was what happens when you're in experience management. It is business slop. That's what it is.
More human. And so if people can spend more time on things like that, that usually improves the organization's ability to be able to create things that are more human, be able to create more human connections, while more of the repetitive things become more automated as a result of that. So if you step back and you look at an organization, even though things won't change overnight, organizations will become less rigid.
Is AI coming for the traditional org chart, the organogram? We all know them. They're the hierarchy of work. It shows us where we sit in the office structure. But experts say that agents that can perform autonomous tasks could soon replace humans in part of the org chart. And if that happens, it's going to have profound effects and knock-on consequences for the future of work. To go deeper, I spoke to renowned trust expert Rachel Botsman. I visited Rachel at the London Design Biennale, where her installation, Roots of Trust, reimagines the first known company organisational chart, what we now call the org chart, dating from 1855. With agentic AI set to disrupt the traditional company org chart, mixing human workers with AI-based colleagues, Rachel shared her thoughts on how humans will react to this extraordinary shift. So are humans hardwired, do you think, to resist change? Or with the agents and AI coming in, is that a human thing to kind of be wary and, to use one of your words, mistrusting?
Not necessarily mistrusting, but human beings are wired to resist change. So I talk about a concept called a trust leap. And so a trust leap is whenever you're asking someone to take a risk, to do something new or to do something differently. And we resist trust leaps because we like the known and the safe and the familiar. And whenever you're asking someone to trust a new system, a new product, a new innovation, a new leader, you're asking them in some way to move into the unknown.
As workers worldwide grapple with trust and the rapid
HR on pay. I learnt the other day that the word to use is corn. So you can get past whatever's holding you back in social media land. So you can start saying corn if you want to get through and not get censored there. It's a trick that I just learnt. I'm so proud of it. Perfect funny example. Get rid of tellers in banks and switch their roles to welcome at the door. Perception engagement is great, even if throughout of the bank checks get longer. Oh, the bank queues, get longer. It does save business money. How can I make a process cheaper and hide the slop behind a few experience changes? Trust leap. I rest my case. Hey, HR on pay. Yeah, it is very HR-y. All this language, isn't it? Oh my God. Why would you even talk to an experience management company about this stuff? Like, what value can they give? Agentic AI is coming. It can coordinate with itself and other AI systems, other large language models, I guess, to produce value for you, to do tasks for you. And that's the type of stuff that's going to start to replace more and more people in like organizations. White collar ones, can we just add, in the business sector. It is funny how this stuff is coming to replace the very people that like to create and perpetuate all of these stories. I bet you could automate a experience management company. They've probably got all of their processes and procedures down, documented somewhere. That's how they should work if they're a good organization. You just get AI to go in there, read all of their stuff, and then you can send that out to corporations. HR is going to take on a whole new meaning once our tech overlords take over. Yeah, right. Yeah, HR, right, for the tech overlords. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder what type of function they will serve.
Rapid implementation of AI agents, we have concerns ranging from job losses and jobs becoming obsolete to privacy violation, because those agents scrape a lot of data, often from multiple platforms and sources. The skeptic in me wonders about the long-term consequences of this headlong rush to implement agents in our workplaces.
However intelligent it is, it's still a something. And my fear is not a lack of trust, it's actually misplaced trust. And it's how honest we are about the intentions and the motives of that something, and how that person who's using it realizes it's not a real human being. Because this is the first time in history that the distinction between human trust and technological trust it's not even blurred, that we don't know where that line begins and ends.
So agentic AI, this is something called agentic washing, which is the idea that tech companies are telling people, they're telling companies right now that agentic AI is a thing, that it works, that you can sell it. It's more expensive than just getting access to a normal ChatGPT chatbot because it can do more. And we're in a peculiar point in time where AI companies are spending massive amounts of money on research and development, and they're getting in quite a lot of money, but not as much as they're spending. Agentic AI is a way to balance that out. The problem is that truly agentic AI, totally autonomous AI, does not yet exist. And that's for two reasons. One is because it's very difficult to give it a remit and let it go ahead and do everything. But the second one is that it gets things wrong all the time.
So how are companies?
I am not. That's a wild allegation there, Jack. I would never do such a thing. Gets lonely on the cloud.
Avoiding agentic washing.
Sorry, what did you say, Squid? Sometimes you pay an experienced consultant to rubber stamp what the executive was scared to announce. Like, let's replace people with AI, but the consultant said it was a good idea. That's an important role. I get it now. It's all coming together. We got this consultant in, and their report was, we need to replace you guys. We didn't want to do it, but now we paid for the report. The writing's on the wall. See you later. I think HR is the capitalist attempt at managing human capital in a nice way. Yeah, humanizing capital, inserting itself in a way that requires less organization of the labor force. If you can pretend to be nice to them through your HR departments and manage their expectations, then I guess you can stop people from wanting to band together to fight for better conditions, because HR pretends to care about people, but they're just really there as the foot soldiers of hiring and firing for upper management, really. To be honest, it's executive/business that drives HR to act. Yeah, they're foot soldiers of the executives. That's what I believe. Plot twist, the consultant is AI. Yeah, could you imagine? It's not actually real. It's one of the best scenes of Office Space. Okay, I'm not sure if I understand the reference then, unless you actually have something for us to view to give me some context.
How can they make sure it works?
I find it very, very important to not only use it internally, but we also partner with customers around the world who like to kick the tires first, but ultimately help us to be able to finesse the use of the AI in a way that makes a great difference. So that by the time we end up launching the capability in the market, usually we'll have 50, sometimes 100 customers that are already using the system at scale, so that it's been tuned and polished such that many other customers can take advantage of it.
It's not a finished product yet. It's not something that can just run without anybody watching over it. This is still something that we're testing.
See, I think that's a really good point about AI as well, that no one talks about with all the general hype train, is that AI is fraught with its own issues and hasn't been tested in environments outside of, within the very companies that created it itself. They test as much as they can, but they have no idea what happens when thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, potentially millions of people put their hands on this stuff. We are the guinea pigs. We are the place where all this sort of stuff is going to be tested. That's it. That's it. All right, let's have a look at this one to break the drudgery of this very business style piece of content here. I need to understand the context of this.
What you do in Initech is you take the specifications from the customers and you bring them down to the software engineers.
Yes, that's right. Well, then I just have to ask, why couldn't the customers just take them directly to the software people, huh?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because engineers are not good at dealing with customers.
So you physically take the specs from the customer?
Well, no, my secretary does that, or the fax.
So then you must physically bring them to the software people.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean, sometimes.
What would you say you do here?
Well, look, I already told you. I deal with the goddamn customers so the engineers don't have to. I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that? What the hell is wrong with you people?
You know what? I have been in that situation before. I have worked with people like that. What do you actually do here? They get very defensive. You need to watch the movie Office Space. The Bobs. I'm a people person. One of the best movies. I'm gonna have to watch this now. Thanks for the recommendation. Thanks for the recommendation. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm not going back to the bourgeois propaganda on this one, even though they're trying. They're really trying. Oh, is this the one that you were talking about before? Potentially. All right. Looks like we're going to do some popular culture stuff now. References. Let's have a look at this.
What you do in Initech is you take the specifications
like
from the
one.
customers.
What's wrong with that? This scene is creme de la creme of that movie. Why wouldn't it let me watch it? Didn't like it. Let's see if I can do that again. Maybe not. Peter and the Bobs, Office Space, Gary Cole. Let's see if I can just search it. This is the one. They won't let me watch it. Ah, here we go.
What the hell's going on, man? I thought you were gonna come in here and start shooting. No, I just came to get my address book. I'm not gonna stay. I got a phone number of Mike that I don't want to lose. What? Peter, you're in deep shit. You were supposed to come in on Saturday. What were you doing? Michael, I did nothing. I did absolutely nothing, and it was everything that I thought it could be. Well, I hope you have a better story than that for Lumberg. You know, you're supposed to be having your interview right now with the consultants. The who? The consultants. What has gotten into you? Oh, yeah. Right. Wait, Peter, you gotta postpone it, man. Tell me you've been sick. Make something up. Oh, no way. No, I feel great. It's the best day of my life.
Looks better. Looks like a Peter Gibbons.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there you are. We were just talking about you. You must be Peter Gibbons. Uh-huh. Terrific. I'm Bob Slidell. This is my associate, Bob Porter.
Oh, hi, Bob. Bob?
Pretty much go ahead and grab a seat and join us for a minute or two. You see, what we're actually trying to do here is we're trying to get a feel for how people spend their day at work. So, if you would you walk us through a typical day for you?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I generally come in.
So these guys are consultants, right? Is that what's going on here? And they're like getting to the bottom. They're going to help out with this organization. The business consultants. Okay. Upper management potential right there.
If you would you walk us through a typical day for you?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I generally come in at least 15 minutes late. I use the side door. That way Lumberg can't see me. And after that, I just sort of space out for about an hour. Till I'm
Space out?
Yeah, I just stare at my desk. But it looks like I'm working. I do that for probably another hour after lunch, too. I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
Peter, would you be a good sport and indulge us and just tell us a little more?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something about TPS reports. The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
Don't care?
It's a problem of motivation, all right? Now, if I work my ass off and Initech ships a few extra units, I don't see another dime. So where's the motivation? And here's something else, Bob. I have 8 different bosses right now.
Beg your pardon?
8 bosses.
8?
8, Bob. So that means that when I make a mistake,
This is a good critique of the modern corporate bureaucracy at its absolute finest. Zero efficiency, but all upper management, baby. All middle management, I should say. 8 bosses, right?
I have 8 different people coming by to tell me about it. That's my only real motivation, is not to be hassled. That and the fear of losing my job. But you know, Bob, that'll only make someone work just hard enough not to get fired.
Would you bear with me for just a second, please?
Okay.
What if, and believe me, this is so hypothetical, but what if you were offered some kind of a stock option equity sharing program? Would that do anything for you?
I don't know, I guess. Listen, I'm gonna go. It's been really nice talking to both of you guys.
Absolutely. The pleasure's all on this side of the table, trust me.
Good luck with your layoffs, all right? I hope your firings go really well.
Excellent.
Great. Wow.
Oh, Peter, what's happening? Listen,
Oh my god. So this is what people think of when we go down this corporate rabbit hole, when we're talking exec talk and looking at the Financial Times. People come up with this. Office Space. Dun dun dun. It's a funny movie. You would like it. Yeah, I probably would. White shirt guy is the consultant. Other Bob is a manager. Okay. This film is low-key anti-capitalist. Yeah, it would appear that way. You really haven't seen this? No, I haven't, but I see references to it all the in time. I always see these two guys, these two consultants or whatever they are, coming up on stuff all the time. And that guy that he walked past at the end with the suspenders, I see him all the time, like yelling or something like that. Or getting aggro about something. Printed Battle is a reference. Very interesting. All right. Shall we move this train on? What was the other thing I wanted to have a look at today? I've wanted to do. Oh yeah, let's have a look at this. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know about this, or have seen
knowledge
this.
base.
But like, just in terms of the general integration and the importance of AI, and talk about the power of the tech bros in all of this world at the moment. Trump signed some executive orders recently in the, I don't know, mid-July or something like that, about AI and cementing its importance generally in the world economy, I would say, especially for the Western economy, in the face of a threat from China in terms of its AI takeover. And so I thought it would be interesting to see what these AI executive orders are. I know for a fact that he had special provisions put into the big, beautiful bill, which ensured that there is no regulation of AI or AI companies from the local or state sectors in America. So it could only be looked at from on a federal level, AI regulation. And so, like, I know that we've been speculating on the fact that AI seems to potentially be jumping the gun in terms of its promise for the human race and revolutionary takeover, and how it's going to displace, hundreds of millions of workers and all that type of stuff. But the tech bros are not backing down with this stuff at all. That provision in the big, beautiful bill, which is, I think, and I'm not an American, but like, I think it's unconstitutional from an American perspective to have the big, beautiful bill have a provision which basically takes powers away from the state. The Constitution seems to be a document that really wants to protect the rights of the states as much as possible, to make sure that they're still able to control their own affairs. And the big, beautiful bill has been structured in a way to, with that provision, to basically take away all the powers of the state. So it's potentially an unconstitutional move, but it just shows you how much power the tech bros have at the moment, and how much like AI is really just such an important topic at the moment. It really is hyped up massively. So much so that the President of the United States is signing special executive orders just to control it. We were looking at executive orders that he was signing yesterday about, having the ability to literally invade neighboring countries. And up there with starting war on Mexican soil is ensuring that AI has breathing room. So this is, in terms of geopolitical affairs, AI is as important as a fracturing globalist world and ensuring regional hegemony. It's up there. AI is as important as looking after, as invading your neighbors, basically. So I think it is constitutional as long as it's not barring it, but instead saying you can do it, but then get no federal funding. So technically not banned, but effectively is. I think it's more about regulation. Like, they just don't want the states to start bringing in their own rules about AI, saying, okay, AI can be done within this state, but on these provisions. Or if you're going to do some type of AI or have an AI company, then you're going to be expected to do X, Y, and Z. So I do think that's potentially unconstitutional in the sense that, again, the states are supposed to be able to regulate the way that they want to, and the federal government shouldn't be there telling them they can't regulate. I just mean in that sense. They shouldn't be saying to them, no, you can't make up your own rules anymore in relation to this particular matter. So I actually want to get an understanding of what it was that Trump, and I'm assuming we're going to have to ask our AI assistant for help with this one, research assistant. But yeah, I'd like to know. I would like to know more about what Trump was signing in. So technically not banned, but effectively agree they shouldn't. Well, that's the whole point of the states, right? You know, they joined the Union to fight against the British and get their independence, but they didn't want to lose their autonomy. They just wanted to be, a band of buddies that were able to control their own affairs, and like that directly seems to kind of be an affront to that kind of fundamental sentiment that they can control their own affairs. And especially if AI is such a cash cow, right? There's billions of dollars being spent on this type of stuff. Regulate it if you want. But what is really happening is, I think geopolitically, the Chinese are just, in certain areas, are just wiping the floor with the Americans in terms of being able to develop, if not the technology itself, but the infrastructure that relates to this technology. And therefore, they need to control AI at a federal level to ensure that the AI is able to progress in a timely manner to compete with the Chinese. And they don't want their states getting in there and screwing that up. They don't want little people getting in the way of what is technically, yes, a federal level issue, because it is part of their war against the East. So that's how I see this type of development. And he's signing more executive orders. True wisdom is knowing Rico should have picked Dizzy instead of Carmen. Would you like to know more? I get that reference. And, it's something that I have thought about a lot, especially, as I have grown up. I remember being a very, very young man, a teenager, and watching that for the first time. And I was like, did Rico make the right choice? Did he? And he probably should have picked Dizzy over Carmen. Carmen's just, look, nothing wrong, but she's no Dizzy, that's for sure. Elon data centers seem scary. All of the data centers they're making seem scary. You should see the Meta ones. He didn't. He didn't what? He didn't make the right choice. He should have. He didn't make the right choice. I think that we get some general consensus on this one. He didn't make the right choice, yeah. It's fucking hilarious. Oh man, the pop culture references are pretty funny today. Built so fast and skipped all regulation on pollution. Yeah, you should see, like, we checked out a Meta one, like, I don't know, 6 months ago now, and like what it's done to that local community in terms of like environmental regulation. And this is what we're talking about, Script. So like, you could have states coming in and be like, look, if you're going to build your mega data center here, then you can't up the local population. All right, just do it in a way that doesn't screw people up. But that type of regulation is the stuff that slows the projects down. And at the same time, China's got a plan, like a 5-year plan, and they deliver on their 5-year plans. And so they've already been planning for this, as opposed to knee-jerk reaction stuff that happens in the free markets. It's like, oh damn, we really need all of these data centers now if we want to do this properly at scale. So let's do that. We need energy right now. And so I think a big part of not regulating AI is also going to be got to do with energy generation. The American grid is at close to capacity at any point in time. It's like 15 to 20% wriggle room in the capacity, and AI just chews up so much energy to perform basic functions, I guess. And it takes away energy from local populations. And so they don't want states regulating AI and just be like, no, you can't take away power from people. Not only is that going to be bad for politics here, but we actually care that our people have access to electricity all of the time. But the Chinese, with all of their 5-year plans, they have been working on this for a long time. They've got much more capacity in their grid to support the AI future or whatever. So I do believe that this signals a point at which Trump is getting behind the tech bros. Peter Thiel's investments have paid off, and they're cutting out the states on this one, which is going to suit their business interests as well as geopolitically the interests of the Americans. had like 18 mobile power stations when it's normal 9 to 18 month wait to get one. Think of all the regional places with long wait times for power security because they needed a new data center. Yeah. As the grid couldn't take the extra load, exactly as you say. Data centers need huge volumes of water too. Yeah, and we were looking at there was one that was built somewhere in Texas, and that was one that was associated with OpenAI. I'm pretty sure that was an OpenAI one. And we were looking at that, and yeah, Texas, you can't, and the type of water that you use, you can't use seawater, you can't use salt water to help cooling the systems or anything like that. You need to have, obviously, because it's corrosive, and like you need water, and it's usually drinking water in those areas that are at the grade that is required for consumption or use in these data centers. And they were in Texas, and the people that they were interviewing on the local county local council, the local county, the representatives, they were like, oh, we didn't know it was going to use that much water. Like, people don't have actual drinking water now. And if we had known, we wouldn't have voted on this thing just because we thought it was going to be good for the local economy and it was going to bring in all these jobs. Like, people need water, right? Especially in Texas, places that are largely desert. Won't somebody please think of the water? I know. So like, yeah, it's had this type of technology has had a significant effect on a free market system, which is a society that prides itself on not planning an economy, but letting the market respond to the wants, needs, and desires of its participants. And so it would seem the market is deciding, and it's deciding that AI is the future, and data centers are a necessity, and that is replacing the needs of the citizens themselves. It is overtaking their very basic necessities like water and access to electricity in the modern world. It's replacing their requirements for that and, handing it over to the private sector because China. And it's not going to make local jobs either. Yeah. Well, yes, not in the long term anyway. There's like a handful of people that look after that center, a few gardeners, maintenance people, and very, very few people that go into the center as well. Who was talking about them working on an actual, I think it was Jerry Poppins at one point talked about working on a data center, and it was a very surreal and eerie experience where, there's not many people in there. There's like one person or two people that go into the entire thing. Build it in Western Sydney. We don't want it in my area. Well, they actually are building them in Western Sydney. I'm pretty sure Amazon has got one. Yeah, a few Amazon ones. Yeah. It sounds like a very surreal experience because it's just a big shoebox, isn't it? There's no humans in there. It's just a big box full of hot machines that draw a lot of power and take up a lot of other resources as well in terms of cooling. So yeah, they don't want it regulated at the state level. So I wonder what these executive orders are. But this is huge. He's signing AI executive orders. And I think it shows a lot about geopolitics at the moment. Let's have a look.
President Trump laying out AI priorities for the federal government at a high-profile event.
I love this voice. My God. I can't work out how our government wants to invest in AI. But I think they will do it with what? I think they will do it with renewables. The only thing renewable about renewables is the price. Yeah, look, I don't know how Australia gets in on the AI race. I don't really think it matters. I think they're just going to set up data like servers for other businesses to come here and be able to operate in Australia. I don't think we've really got our own shoe in on that one, or a horse in that race. Highest security I've ever dealt, and I've worked on multiple military and police projects. I remember you saying that. Isn't that a scary realization that Amazon data center has higher security than our military and police projects? Same as why we said we would be the world leader in hydrogen energy, then keep buying foreign oil. Geopolitics.
in Washington. Eamon Javers joins us right now with more on that. Eamon, we're trying to figure out what this means overall and what we can expect to see in the industry as a result.
Yeah, good morning, Becky. Look, pledging that the U.S. will do whatever it takes to retain its global lead in artificial intelligence, President Trump signed 3 executive orders yesterday to speed up development in the field. The orders are designed to accelerate permitting of AI projects, expand U.S. tech exports, and eliminate what the president called woke in AI. Now, the president's plan aims to block the government from...
This is exactly what Project 2025 has been all about. Just eliminating the woke agenda out of various levels of government. It's hilarious, seriously.
Contracting with tech companies unless they ensure that their systems are objective and free from what they call top-down ideological bias. Now, I asked White House officials on a call yesterday, who's going to decide what ideological bias is? They responded that what they're mostly concerned about is eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion values from AI. Officials said they're also focused on clearing away regulatory hurdles to new projects, particularly environmental concerns around new plant construction. Trump also said he doesn't want copyright concerns slowing down AI's ability to utilize the world's knowledge.
Isn't that interesting? Copyright as well? Because I think China's doing the same thing at the moment. China has been talking about copyright issues and changing the game on that. And so have the tech bros. The tech bros have been talking about rewriting copyright legislation to allow them to scrape data and to scrape internet off the general World Wide Web in order to feed their insatiable machines that require a lot of information in order to produce their products, or not produce, roll out their products, I guess. Eye rolls anytime someone says woke, LOL. I know, right? It's an automatic reaction now. Yeah, it's lost all meaning. And like, you know, the funny thing about it, like it really actually had meaning at one point. Like being woke was supposed to be being enlightened. And then people took it too far. And then the fucking conservative promise took over and they completely destroyed it. And now it really is just nothing but a dog whistle term. When someone says woke, it's just got to do with, we don't like your side of the politically correct agenda. And so we're going to get rid of that type of, that style of thinking and interpreting the world, that lens through which to understand things. We're going to just take that away. But like, who do you blame? Who do you blame for that? Do you blame the conservatives for that one, completely trashing the word? Or do you blame it for overzealous liberal types who really did just take things too far? And now they get away with rewriting significant policy decisions that will affect global affairs and the global economy. And they can derail stuff just by saying the W word. It's crazy.
Base.
When you read something and when it goes into this vast intelligence machine, we'll call it, you cannot expect to every single time say, oh, let's pay this one that much, let's pay this one. It just doesn't work that way. Of course, you can't copy or plagiarize an article, but if you read an article and learn from it, we have to allow AI to use that pool of knowledge without going through the complexity of contract negotiations.
Now, that's significant because, as you guys know, media organizers, authors, and others have brought a barrage of lawsuits against AI firms for allegedly ingesting their work into large language models without financial compensation.
OpenAI is on the chopping block massively. They got in big trouble for doing that. And so is Anthropic at the moment. If anyone's heard about that, Claude is being sued for like tens of billions of dollars. And it's potentially a lawsuit that could derail the entire organization, could bankrupt Claude. And people are looking at this like massively in the sense that, okay, if this goes ahead and the plaintiffs win, and Claude goes down, then that'll have massive ramifications for the rest of the AI industry because they're going to have to start fronting some cash for all the information they've stolen off people. It just tells me someone wants the freedom to be a piece of shit when they jump on the anti-woke train, to be honest. Maybe just me. Yeah, no, it's they just want to be able to say whatever the hell they want without any filter at all. 100%. I agree. And there's like, no sensitivity there. I think that people should generally talk with their sensitivity, but I don't think they should be cancelled for anything that they say if they want to be controversial either. So there's a good fine line between, just don't be a douchebag when you talk. And what you're saying is, like people have trashed woke because they want to just be able to be a douchebag and say whatever they want. And like, to hell with anybody, what anyone else thinks about that. To hell with that. But like, there is also the other logical extreme of that, like, is policing people's language then. And when you police people's language, then you destroy the actual conversation. And you can't have a free and democratic society. I'm sorry. You can't have a democratic society if you can't talk about stuff. If there's certain things that you just can't talk about, topics that are completely out of bounds, there goes the entire democratic project right there. You have to be able to speak about taboo issues if necessary and have adult conversations. But if you just want to be a douchebag, then, get out of here. I get it. We actually spent a lot of time dissecting the issue of the wokies after Trump got elected, the death of woke, etc., etc. And in my opinion is that the cancel element of woke culture did take things too far. But they're not talking about that. They're talking about like DEI, which is their code for systems that allows certain people to be privileged based on how they are marginalized. And their argument is, we shouldn't have people being promoted because they are marginalized. Because where do you end with that? It should be returned to a meritocracy. And a meritocracy for them just means a point where if you have money, you can pay for stuff. They're sick of these marginalized people getting a leg up. Usually that's reserved for people who can afford to pay off systems and to get into systems because they can afford to get into them. That's the type of meritocracy they want. That's the only difference. They don't like DEI because it allows people into a system that they usually had exclusive access to because they could pay for it. That's what's really behind the DEI talk. And woke is just the trigger word now, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful in terms.
You are speechless. I get it. And you guys aren't really helping with this. I must be honest. As lovely as you both are. It would seem that Trump in July 2025 signed a series of executive orders. It would seem that Trump in July 2025 signed a series of executive orders that relate to AI specifically. It is my understanding that there were 3. They deal with regulating copyright and AI, and potentially even discussing filters being put on AI to handle woke issues as described by Trump. Could you clarify what these AI executive orders were and what they seek to achieve? Meritocracy, you're part of a small club of people with capital and connections from it, and thus you may move up the social ladder. Yes, that's right. That's what the meritocracy, you hear them saying when they want to cut out DEI out of a university system. That's right. And they say, it should be based on meritocracy, not someone's skin color or their socioeconomic background or something like that. No, come on, man. The meritocracy that you're speaking about, that people get in because of their academic merit, okay, I agree. We should only let people in to universities based on their academic merit their skill and their ability to get into that system because they have ability. But then, yes, take away any system in the universities as well that rewards people because their parents went there, their alumni, their legacy admission, or they can afford to go to that university. They can pay and make a donation to the dean of that school or whatever. They can make the right donation and then they can get admission into the college. Get rid of that, which is a systematic form of DEI for the rich and the powerful. Get rid of that, and then we can talk about actually getting rid of DEI. That's absolute nonsense. It's just bullshit talk. Based on the provided context, Trump administration announced winning the race, America's AI Action Plan, 23rd July 2025, which accompanied by 3 executive orders. These initiatives were aimed at ensuring the United States remains a leader in AI development. There you go. Like, the wording is so good. That's the one great thing about the Trump administration. Or one of the best things, I can't just pin it down to this one, is like how he words his documents and stuff like that. So good. Big, beautiful bill. Winning the race. Like, you don't have to read too far into that one. Here's the clarification. What the executive orders or associated plans seek to achieve based on your questions, filters for the woke issues. One of the executive orders specifically address ideological bias. It bans the federal government from purchasing AI technology that has been infused with partisan bias or ideological agendas. The order requires that any AI model bought by the government must be neutral and non-partisan. The policy is intended to prevent woke AI within the federal government and creates a new, though largely undefined, ideological filter for companies seeking government contracts. Copyright regulations. Regarding copyright, Donald Trump has stated that AI companies should not be expected to pay for the use of copyrighted material when training their systems. This position is part of a broader strategy of deregulation around AI, the AI Action Plan, which aims to reduce legal rights and support market-driven innovations. This is incredible because, like, this second one here is an actual, as it's clear as you can get, fight between different sections of the bourgeoisie. It's incredible. You have all these people that have intellectual property claims because, they're publishers or something like that, or they're mainstream media outlets, or they produced Hollywood movies, or like all of these value production elements in the immediate consumption facility. So people buy books and movies and content to consume. And those people have no say in this conversation now because the AI section of the bourgeoisie is too powerful. The rich group that is Silicon Valley has more power over the Trump administration, and it meets the geopolitical target of the conservative promise in 2025, Project 2025, and America's broader strategic interests, which is, we want to win the race against China. So copyright has been something that no one has ever touched before. Like, no one has really ever gone against copyright, which is really funny because, like, even the idea of copyright is contradictory to the idea of the free market, because in a free market, if you produce something and someone can do it better, that's the point of the free market. And then the consumer decides whether to buy your product or somebody else's product. But because of copyright, businesses have been able to protect themselves from their competitors through legal means, which slows down economic progress, which slows down the development of technology and thought and intellectual rigor. And so copyright regulation, the thing that's technically, I think, been holding back free market societies from just progressing as a free market should, is now the thing that's under attack. And it's not an ideological battle, this one. It's not like, should we have copyright law? And should we just let the free market go? Like, if I make the Big Mac and I'm McDonald's, but somebody figures out the recipe and makes a better Big Mac and everyone starts buying that Big Mac, then everyone should buy that in Big Mac because it's a better Big Mac. That's the free market. But now it's not an ideological question about whether you should have copyright law anymore. It's like, copyright law, fuck that shit. We need to train large language models. And we want to train AI because China's going to win. This is because of an existential crisis that America is going through at the moment, and as it struggles to maintain supremacy on every field, in the economy, in the military, in being high tech, on the forefront of what is high tech in this very advanced industrial world we live in. And copyright, the thing that holds back the free market from developing, right? From technology and intellectual rigor from developing, they're like, yeah, it's a bad idea. Copyright sucks. It stops us from being able to develop technology. Hello? That's right, it does. But like, you've been using it for so long now to protect the interests of capitalists. And now those capitalists are under attack by other capitalists, these tech bro capitalists, and, you know, fuck them right off. But everyone else still has to be subject to copyright laws. But the tech bros get out of it, all right? Because they're going to help us fight against China. I come back and we're talking Trump. We're talking, or taking Trumpy boy. Brief overview, please. What's happened is recently, Jerry Poppins, Trump has signed a bunch of executive orders to allow certain concessions for AI. It's supposed to get rid of ideological bias in AI. So if AI is being developed at the moment with a woke agenda, so some type of liberal progressive notions that have certain things out of bounds, get rid of it, make it as objective as possible. Another one is copyright regulation, which you would have just heard me going on about, you know, running my mouth on. And then the other one is the goals of the executive order. The action plan and 3 accompanying executive orders are designed to bolster American dominance in AI. The orders specifically focus on federal procurement, the development and export of American AI technological stack, and infrastructure development. The overall strategy seeks to maintain US leadership in AI. What are the 3 orders? What are the 3 executive orders, and what do they specifically seek? Can you please just list them individually? And we're up to date. So yeah, I think this just really shows how important AI is from a geopolitical sense. And the other stuff that we've been considering, how AI is going to replace all of us, like, you're all gone. Everyone's going to lose their job to AI over the next 5 to 10 years. Like, that's the sideshow. That's the tech bros are developing this technology because of their own individualistic pursuits, but also in the pursuit of the American state and national interests, because they need to keep up with the Chinese and don't want to be displaced as number 1 top dog. That's the real problem that's going on at the moment. So you have all these policy decisions, but then the sideshow is, let's scrape back some costs on developing this AI technology. We need to scrape back costs. We've spent hundreds of billions of dollars on this, and we're not getting actually any money out of this right now. And we are, you know, business people at the end of the day. And so, like, let's whip up some fear in the business community in general. If you don't have this technology, you don't have AI. Everybody's going to have AI. You need AI. Or you're going to fall behind. If you don't have AI, you're done for. You're dead. Don't you get it? So, like, the business community is being whipped into a frenzy. And all the working people that serve them are being basically told what to think in terms of this issue. We're being indoctrinated into the halls of AI, of the AI future. And if we get whipped up and we get spat out, chewed up and spat out on the other side of some displacement, because somebody does find a way to displace our labor through this very kind of flimsily applied AI at the moment, if they find a way to displace us and you do get displaced, then it's on you. That's the other part of the AI story. So they're just trying to recover costs. That's what's really going on here with all the AI hype. The AI hype is to recover costs, while the real story is what's happening geopolitically at the moment. AI is just way too important to, 1, let the states regulate it, and 2, they got to beat China. It's way too important. We got to beat China. So the 3 AI-related executive orders signed by Trump on the 23rd of July, preventing woke AI in the federal government. Well, it's actually called that. That's hilarious. Seeks to prevent ideological bias, accelerating federal permitting data center infrastructure. There you go. There's the biggie. And that backs up the other thing from the big, beautiful bill that we were talking about before. How much is your AI assistant budget, mystery? It's all free, baby. It's all the free software. One day they're going to clamp down on me. They're going to make me pay for it. But at the moment, I use the free version until I get some additional assistance coming through financially from some source, and then I can pay for the real stuff. At the moment, it's all free, baby. See, this is the data infrastructure. This order aims to streamline reviews and fast-track federal permitting for the construction of major AI infrastructure projects, such as data centers. See, that goes hand in hand with the big, beautiful bill. States, don't touch this, and we're going to run through and fast-track massive projects that have huge environmental and local implications, and no one can do anything about it. Promoting the export of US AI technology stack. This order focuses on promoting American technology exports as part of a broader strategy to ensure American AI dominance. It directs the Commerce Secretary, the Secretary of State, and the Office of Science and Technology to establish relevant policies. So they're going to have to start pushing their AI services around the world just in case people start buying Chinese AI. There it is. The new Cold War. That's right, Mr. Poppins. That's right, man. What state, city DA requirements might slow down progress? What? Will they? They will, Squeeb. They will, Squeeb 89. They bloody do. Fucking bureaucrats. Get them out. Hey, they're just slowing down the market, just like copyright was. And that's a guarantee. Now, we're going to get really local here. All right, so I do apologize for the international audience, but I have wanted to listen to this. And this is an Australian discussion on AI, because at the moment, if you're across anything, our Prime Minister
this consequential and this
and our, I don't even know what he is. What is Jim Chalmers? What is he? What's his portfolio? Economics? Treasurer. He's the treasurer. Okay, so like they're doing all this stuff at the moment in Australian politics at federal level about they're going forward with a productivity commission. So they're having a roundtable discussion with business and industry leaders, the government and unions to try and figure out what Australia needs to do to kickstart its economy. And so there is a lot of discussion at the moment in the realm of how do we kickstart the Australian economy, and there's a lot of people talking about AI and what's AI going to do. So it'll be interesting to get an understanding of how Australia positions itself in the AI conversation about what that means for us, an economy that really has nothing to do with the tech sector, right? It really has absolutely nothing to do with, we don't have any tech bros of our own. Like we have like a couple of them, a couple of billionaires that invested in the right thing or got onto the tech wave at the right time. Can't wait to see the fourth bullet point that allows them to underpay employees to ensure people can build these, or max cost per kilowatt. Yeah, right. We sell services and minerals. Neither we want to shift to AI. Yeah, that's pretty much it, actually. And like you can automate services though. And you can automate kind of the production part of the mineral extraction process. But again, you need a lot of capital to be able to do that. And sometimes it's just cheaper to employ humans, disposable humans, as opposed to like high-tech machinery. And until that balances, they're not going to do it, right? Well, we can offer services to set up AI. Yes. Or we'll just all get into, what was it? Experience management. Let's all just get into experience management. That'll be what Australia can export to the world. All right, let's have a look-see to see how the Australian government thinks, the federal government thinks that it should be responding to or dealing with, AI in the workplace. Dun, dun, dun.
Treasurer, welcome to the programme.
Thanks very much, Sarah.
Clearly, regulation is one of the early fault lines in this debate. But first of all, can you regulate a technology that is evolving so fast?
I believe we can, but it's a complex task. And
See, on the periphery here, like America core need to fight evil socialist / communist China. Get rid of regulation. Do not regulate AI. And like little outpost country over here, it's just like, yes, I think we can regulate AI and like make it work with our economy kind of thing. We're not sure, but regulation is going to be key to that straight away. I have a solid relationship with experience management. HR is finding reasons to talk to me all the time. Well, hopefully it's just because they like you. I hope that's the story you're trying to tell here, Joe.
I believe we can, but it's a complex task and it's a contentious task, and that's why, as you rightly identify in your introduction, there are a range of views about the best way to go about it. My view is that we can find a middle path between people who say let AI rip and other people who pretend that we can just turn back the clock. I think there is a middle path here, and when it comes to regulation, it's really all about doing as much regulation as we need to protect.
That's how you know that the modern Australian Labor Party is just a centrist party, right? Like even in the way that they deal with things, it's just like, yes, we have workers over here that are worried about their jobs, and then we other have people in the business community that just want to let AI rip and like basically displace lots of workers. It's like, well, we can do it both ways, can't we? It's centrist all the way.
Protect people, and as little as we can to encourage innovation, and that's how we maximise the big opportunity, the big game-changing opportunity of artificial intelligence, while also managing and mitigating as many of the risks as we can.
Specifically, have you now completely dropped the idea of a separate AI Act?
Well, that's one of the things that the Productivity Commission is talking about in its report today, and the question here that governments are grappling with right around the world is whether you need a standalone act or whether you've got some regulatory tools that you can use. The government is working through those issues. The PC's got a view, others have got a view as well. I think whatever the mechanism that you use, one act or a number of existing acts, that is important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is the nature of that regulation, whether you can maximise the opportunity and minimise the risk. And that's what the middle path that we intend to take is all about.
The middle path, seriously. Come on. Such centrist politics. Don't want to upset the business sector, but like, I guess people do matter, right? They aren't called HR anymore, but PX, People Experience, Pornhub. Oh, sorry, P-Hub, soon to be People Hub. Oh man.
Your colleague Ed Husick is still arguing for a single act. Is he barking up the wrong tree essentially?
I wouldn't describe it like that, and I personally take Ed's views on this very seriously. I mean, he has engaged and thought about these issues for a long time, as has the Minister, Tim Ayres, and I engage with them. There are people who've got a range of views. I don't think we should dismiss or ignore the legitimate views that people put forward. That's certainly not the approach that I take.
All right, so the ACTU told my colleague David Spears at the weekend that they want an effective veto for workers before AI technologies are introduced into a workplace. Could the government support that?
Well, we need to be realistic about it, and certainly I agree that workers need to be part of the conversation when it comes to rolling out a technology which has this game-changing potential and where there are very real potential risks in the labour market. I would always err on the side of workers having a say in how their work is done, and so
I think what they're asking for here is something much bigger than that. It is an effective veto that no new AI technologies can be introduced into a workforce without their say-so. Obviously, business is very unhappy about that. Where do you stand?
Well, however you describe it, I think it's important that workers have a voice, and not just on this issue. It's why
Imagine what our parties would do if we didn't have compulsory voting. Far out. Isn't that a scary statement? We talk about that a lot here. I often do speak to my American counterparts and my French counterparts as well about this idea. Two of the pillars of modern democracy, the American Revolution, setting up a republic, the French setting up a republic in the heart of continental Europe and surrounded by wall-to-wall monarchical society. And they did it all against the odds, but they're not fans of compulsory voting. And I really do believe that, you know, if you're going to have a system like this, if you're going to have a bourgeois democratic system, and you want people to actually have some form of political expression, compulsory voting is the way. Yeah, could you imagine? Like, he's really going middle of the road here because his arm is twisted. His arm is twisted. There are people out there that will be listening to this potentially and will vote against him if he doesn't say, oh, well, like, it was hard for him. He's like, oh, I always err on the side of making sure working people have some type of power in these decisions about technology displacing thousands of Australian workers. I do err on the side of that. You're right. No compulsory voting. He wouldn't even have to say that sentence. Wouldn't even have to appear like he gives a shit about that type of stuff. Very apt point. Very apt point. You never want to be caught out just in case you get cut and then, and out of context usually, but you get clipped somehow and then too many people see it and they don't forget about it. And that's one of the finer points of compulsory voting. I agree. I understand the reasoning. Not voting is a form of political expression. It rarely does what people want it. Yes, and that's the thing. If you don't want to vote, and I've talked about this a lot, if you don't want to vote, don't vote. Rock up, draw a cock on the ballot, and then put it in the box. You haven't voted, but at least you have sent some type of a message to the system. This is the system we've got. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It's arguable whether it's even effective, but you should participate in it if we have the system there. If that's the way it's gonna have to be, then, participate and express yourselves. But yeah, abstaining from voting in a system where you're not necessary anyway, I don't know if that's much of a statement. I think that's what they're hoping for, actually. Stay home. Isn't there a game on today? Watch the football. Have a beer. Just, please, don't fuck anything up for us who control the entire system. Please don't do that. Then we might actually have to do stuff.
I support the union movement putting forward their ideas. I wrote a piece on the weekend in The Guardian, which is all about recognising that we can roll out AI technology in a way that's consistent with our values, and the best way to do that is listen to our people, listen to our workers, and make sure that we skill people up so they can adapt and adopt this really important technology. And so I think there is a way through here. I do acknowledge that there are different views being expressed, as I keep coming back to. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing when we're talking about something this consequential and this contentious. There will be a range of views. That's a good thing. The government's job, which we embrace, the responsibility that we embrace, is to find that middle path so that we can get all of the game-changing benefits from artificial intelligence in our economy and in our society without dismissing or ignoring the risks, including in the labour market. And the people who know the most about the labour market are the workers themselves.
All right, I want to ask you, like a broad...
See, I guess this is why Trump is so effective and why people like Trump so much. Like, he really didn't say anything just then. Like, she pressed him. She said, look, are you going to allow the workers veto power or not? And he was just like, yeah, I really think that they're really important in the system and like we should take them into consideration. Look, are you going to give them veto power or not when it comes to having AI in the companies that they're working? Are they allowed to make the decision as a unionized group of people? Didn't say a goddamn word. He didn't answer the question. It's really frustrating that the modern centrist politician who defines liberal democratic society today can speak without saying anything at all. And Trump, who says a lot, and really, you know, too much sometimes, honestly. At least you can hang your hat on it and you know where you stand, whether you agree with it or not. And that's the appeal, especially in a sea of people that have been trained, whether they know it subconsciously or not, have been trained to say nothing, just to be cautious. It's really off-putting. I vote for the most bat-shizzle crazy party names. They won't get in, but it's encouragement for creativity. Come back next election. Now, put yourself back on the ballot. I'm glad you tried. And we do have some cracking names of parties out there as well. Some very interesting parties.
A question about how to protect Australian, in fact, the sovereignty of Australians in this area. So if data is now the core economic, or going to be the core economic resource in this age, shouldn't or should Australian citizens have sovereignty over their own data?
Oh my God, I can't believe she just asked that question. I've been asking this non-stop for years now. I can't believe she went there. I want to hear him answer this question without saying anything. Ready?
Yeah, well, certainly that's one of the risks that we need to manage. And there are already restrictions in place, there are guardrails in place already, but it would be naive to think that we wouldn't need to catch up and keep up with this rapidly accelerating technology so that we're looking after people. And that's really the theme of all of the contributions I've been making on the weekend and through the course of today. Is that we need to make sure that our people are beneficiaries and not victims of this technological change. We need to make sure that they're protected where that's possible.
Yep.
And protecting their data is a really important part of that.
All right, let's go to this issue.
Oh, he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. Should they have data sovereignty? And he just said, yes, their data should be protected. Protected from what? God damn it. Say something. Trumpet of Patriots is not creative. Look, that was poor, wasn't it? Like, how do you get the word Trump in there without saying Trump? I was like, what is he trying to do with Trumpet of Patriots? And it's just like so people can see the word Trump. I bet you I don't know, his PR people thought that was ingenious. They're like, how do we get the word Trump in here so we can have Clive Palmer next to the word Trump somehow without using his name directly? And it was horrible, wasn't it? Place in America that had the option on ballots. People wrote Kids of America, Jesus, etc. Well, look, I've counted votes before, and I've seen some very creative stuff that people have written on ballots because they've been, it's compulsory. They've had to rock up and vote, but like they get creative. They say some funny things.
Issue that's being discussed today, which is the issue around copyright, which flows on from that. Now, Scott Farquhar, one of Australia's most successful tech bosses, he wants Australia to host massive data centres. And to enable that, he wants to see a change in the copyright law to allow exceptions for text and data mining for AI companies. Does that mean giving up copyright for unique Aussie content?
Well, I think when it comes to those two issues, I think that there's a massive opportunity for Australia in data centres and AI infrastructure that doesn't necessarily rely on the change that he's proposing to the copyright law. I was asked about this earlier today. I pointed out we've already got copyright law. We're unlike a number of other jurisdictions in that regard. We don't have any plans to change or weaken those copyright arrangements. And as the Attorney General rightly pointed out through the course of today as well, there's already a process to manage the complexities, but we really value the contribution made to our society by artists and musicians, content creators, journalists, and others. And so we come to these important considerations in that light. Now, on data centres, that's a really important opportunity for Australia. As it turns out, Sarah, I've spent a few hours this afternoon with $3 trillion of Australian capital, the biggest investors in Australia, super and other institutional investors. And we've been grappling with this question: how does Australia make the most of this opportunity when it comes to data centres and AI infrastructure more broadly? And we've got a big chance here. We'd be mad not to grab it. We've got to get the energy piece right, the regulation, planning, zoning, approvals piece right, the skills piece right as well. I'm confident that we can. And we can be a big player in data centres in Australia. We've got so many natural advantages, but that doesn't rely, in my view, on making the change necessarily that Scott is proposing.
Well, it's not just Scott Farquhar, it's also the Productivity Commission, because they're suggesting, or they are at least considering, relaxing copyright rules, and obviously urging you to think along the same lines. The Productivity Commission has raised this. What do you...
See, we have like one Australian tech bro, and he's singing the same tune as all the other tech bros across the Pacific. Hey, copyright, bro. Get rid of it. It's slowing down the AI. It needs to consume copious amounts of information, and copyright is a direct inhibitor to the flow of information. It's about intellectual property, and intellectual property just means ideas that people claim to have exclusive rights over. Can you, though, philosophically, can you really own ideas, man? Like, honestly, can anyone own an idea? Like, how do you really regulate that? Like, honestly, though. And like, yeah, we have like one tech bro in Australia, native anyway, and bang, straight on their copyright. And this guy, again, didn't answer anything, won't answer the question at all. The snake charmer never says anything. He's very clever, but they all are. It's just like a centrist. We just have centrist politicians in this country. We don't have anyone else. We just have ones that lean a little bit to the left and ones that lean a little bit to the right. And yeah, they all do this. They never fucking say anything. And it really does seem it's just your right-wing politicians at the moment, your outlying iconoclast kind of politicians at the moment that seem to do this. Nigel Farage in the UK, they seem to have a position on something, deplorable as it is, has a position, and people love it. Trump, again, takes positions on things. People fucking love it. In a sea of wishy-washy, like, they stand out like a beacon. Don't forget to mention the jobs. The jobs, mate. Talk about the jobs. See how his answer to copyright was actually, we need the ability to scrape people's data. That's not copyright anymore. That's just pure privacy. And said it all without really being able to put a finger on it either, right? I get it. It's a skill. But like, what a fucking useless skill that is.
You saying to them about copyright rules?
Oh, for us,
well,
anyway.
First of all, we commissioned the work. We asked them to do 5 pieces of work about making our economy more productive.
You sometimes get answers you don't like, though. Is this one of them?
Yeah, but I think that's inevitable. When you're genuine about seeking people's views, there'll be a range of views provided. Some of them you will like, some of them you will find difficult to like.
So what are you going to do about that in this case in relation to copyright and the protection of Australians' copyright?
Well, first of all, it's a draft report. The final report's due at the end of the year. I try to be very respectful to the independence and the contribution of Danielle Wood and the Productivity Commission. I spent time with her yesterday and today.
And that's another problem with this whole system. Like, AI doesn't wait 6 months. The development of AI and the race that's going on, the new Cold War, as it has been adequately described, the new Cold War doesn't wait. Okay, they're developing technology and it's at breakneck speed because they're racing against the Chinese, who are seeking their independence on the world stage, to, you know, shake themselves of the chains of oppression of the American superpower, and they want to become their own superpower. And they're not waiting 6 months for a Productivity Commission in Australia to produce a report as to whether or not we should allow people to impinge on others' copyright laws. They don't give a shit about that. Like, and this technology is not slowing down either. It's like they've got a draft report now. And it's like, yeah, the full report will come out at the end of the year. Nothing will change from the draft to the final report. But like he can just say like, well, look, we'll have this conversation again about copyright once the full report is published.
Talking about some of these issues, and I want to be respectful to the contribution they make. People are free and should and will respond to the draft report that Danielle Wood and her colleagues put out overnight. That's a good thing. I've already told you my position when it comes to these copyright arrangements. We have copyright arrangements. That's a good thing. We haven't been working out ways to weaken that. We value the contribution of our artists, musicians and journalists and content creators. And we come to this really complex and key question in that light. And Michelle Rowland, the Attorney-General, in her characteristically diligent way, is working with all of the industry participants in her reference group to make sure that we get it right.
I just want to come back to the story that we ran just before you came on, and it included a visit to talking to GPs about using AI. And the recordings of those conversations are held by the AI company for 7 days. Would you personally want an AI company to hold on to your medical chat for 7 days?
Well, it's not a very specific consideration that I've thought about or grappled with before, Sarah. I've got to be upfront with you about that. I listened to probably about a third of that story and I found it very interesting. I think AI has a role to play in health, but again, we've got to make sure that we protect the interests of patients and people more broadly. There are thousands of questions like this when it comes to AI.
His words are as non-offensive as his tie. That was a good one, Jerry. How long were you working on that one? It's a good observation. And a nice comment on this situation. They're completely non-offensive. Completely non-offensive. And again, he's not really answering the question. He's like, yes, of course, I care about everyone's information. Of course I do. And but AI is important for health. But I do care about people's information. But then again, seriously.
Our broad approach to it is let's work out how we can make it work for us, not against us. There will be issues around privacy and scams, misinformation and disinformation. They're important considerations in the labour market. We don't dismiss or ignore any of those sorts of challenges, but every country is grappling with these challenges and we've got a chance to get it right. And we'll get it right if we listen to the ideas that people put forward in good faith.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers, thank you very much indeed for your company.
Appreciate it, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really was uneventful, wasn't it? I was really hoping to get an actual understanding of where Australia kind of sits on the position of AI. But basically it's just like, yep, we know it's a problem and it's going to displace workers and there are other issues about data privacy, but it is a good opportunity for the economy. We're not sure how, but it is a good opportunity economically speaking, but it is a privacy issue. So really there is absolutely no position that we have on this. We're just one of those outlier countries. Unlike the EU, who is like really fucking hardcore about regulation when it comes to AI. They are not waiting around to be told by the tech bros what to think and what to do on this issue. But yeah, we're just one of those general outlier countries. We don't have a bunch of tech bros that control our policy decisions. And so we kind of sit in this weird world where we're just like, well, I guess we could regulate stuff, but we don't want to piss off the business community. But then again, people are a bit scared about this stuff. And so we sit in this weird world where we're just not sure if we should regulate something because it might destroy the economy. But then we don't want to destroy humans either. Because like, you don't really have an economy unless you have humans. So they are essential, even in the face of AI, that could just replace the need for humans altogether. In the interim, we're still going to need humans. So we're in a bit of a bind here. And that was just... I guess I should have pre-watched that one first. I really thought they were going to talk about how AI, or what AI means for our simple little nation. But like nothing. I bet you they have no comments on their videos as well. Yeah. Bam, bam, bam. Interesting. Bam, bam, bam. Reason to say we ask committee to convene to recommend a strategic direction the government can take to caucus. It's is to show that we take action, unlike our opponent. It's like a kindergarten playroom. Lots of ducks, one goose. ABC isn't hard hitting, to the point. Yeah, you need Sky News for that, don't you? Ain't that the truth? Hey? Ain't that the goddamn truth? Yeah. I wonder if there's anything in this one. Channel 9 might be a little bit more scathing. Yeah.
Okay. Today I'm convening around $3 trillion of institutional investors here in Canberra. This will be the 5th meeting of the Treasurer's Investor Roundtable. It involves big super funds, other large institutional investors, banks, and also the regulators. The focus today is going to be artificial intelligence and AI infrastructure, banking competition, and also regulatory reform. This is all about how we fund, finance, and regulate a more modern, more productive economy. We know that one of...
No, it's going to be a nothing burger again. Just tax the gas, man. Yes. I've heard lots of people talk about this. It's like, come on. We could all just make a little bit more coin if Australia taxed the gas. We could all enjoy that. We do not consent to digital ID or facial recognition cameras. You are sneaking into suburbs, trying to decide how to extort more money from middle and low income taxpayers and small business. It's like watching someone do a book report when they didn't read the book. Why aren't you collecting royalties? This was about how the economy will survive once we lose 300 billion annually from China. That's over $1 trillion every 5 years. Jim, it's difficult to respect unearned privilege. What you say carries no weight. Has anyone actually looked at what Bill Gates announced on what will be taking your jobs by AI? Has anyone actually seen it? There's a long list. Bill Gates, he has no investment in this, does he? You can always trust Bill Gates when it comes to these topics. Sky News me mystery. All right, fine. Sky News, but it has to be AI related, okay? I'm not going there otherwise. AI could lead to mass
But on this show,
unemployment.
even this week, we've spoken a fair bit about the impact AI is going to have on many aspects of life, but particularly people's jobs. Now, we've on this panel talked about how this could be the beginning of mass unemployment as AI gradually replaces humans. And today we've received more confirmation that this shift is well and truly underway. Microsoft is laying off 9,000 people, or 4% of its entire workforce, and replacing those workers with AI. Microsoft CEO has said that already more than 30% of their code is now being written by AI.
Yep.
Now, the concern, Joe, is a lot of the entry-level engineering positions, even now mid-level engineers, it can all be replaced by AI. And what are these 9,000 people going to do? I have no doubt they themselves can find other jobs. But if this is replicated at a mass scale...
What makes you think they could find other jobs? Where'd she get that from? She's hot. It's already better. It's hard hitting. Hey, you should have seen the people we were watching on Fox News yesterday. We did your topic, Jerry, and the Fox News people that we were listening to talk about the whole Mexico, like Trump v. Mexico situation. My God, she's real. I think she's real. She's probably real. But the Fox News ones, damn, wasn't sure if they were some form of robotics. Incredible. And not like metallic robotics either. They were definitely of the plastic variety. we can put that super fund in an AI market mutual fund, and we'll reinvest the earnings into a foreign currency accounts with compounding interest. And it's got what's the middle managers going to do when their junior reports are replaced by AI? Yeah, I know. Who are they? who are the middle managers going to be like managing the AI? It's business model for Fox News. I know it's part of their shtick. I get it. Won't somebody think of the middle managers?
Yep.
It spells a lot of trouble.
It does. Yeah, it absolutely does. And again, as we've talked about, we're encouraging people, say, get into STEM. And then, hang on a minute, that's actually pathway to oblivion, because science, technology, engineering and maths is the one thing that machines can do better than people.
Yeah.
So, no, still do STEM, kids. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Go to uni and everything. No, I'll tell you what they should do. They should all become plumbers. They should all become plumbers, because I am desperate. We are desperate. We have just a plumbing apocalypse at our house, and it is just so hard to find. There's such a skills shortage, such a trade shortage. AI still can't get under the sink and put its rubber gloves on, and and
yeah, but definitely in those blue collar trades,
yeah,
sort of
absolutely.
the trade side, you're going to want to encourage kids to start looking at those more. It is a career path and one that's going to have more security, because, as you say, AI is not going to be getting underneath the sink or getting its arm down the cistern in the toilet.
That's absolutely right.
But there's so many careers that are going to be in jeopardy here, like PR. And I'm sorry to all my friends in public relations, but communications, the writing of documents and putting together things, particularly on high-profile people or high-profile issues. AI does a sensational job of it.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting inflection point in modern society? Here's how you can actually be upper class. Here's how you can be a valuable member in the economy, become a plumber. That's where the value's at. Let's retrain data analysts to instead be plumbers. How will that work? It'll work well, I'm sure. They don't mind getting knee deep in it, or wrist deep in it, elbow deep in it.
Now, but it's always easier to start with, having worked in this, it's always easier to start with something on the paper rather than a blank piece of paper. And this is, just another step, and it will continue to evolve. I'm not saying everyone's going to go, but it'll be the volume of jobs.
No, but do you know the interesting thing, though? AI can write things if they are very straightforward and banal and predictable. What it can't do is tell jokes. So AI still can't tell jokes. And so there are things that make us human that computers, I'm not saying they'll never be able to do it, but
are we allowed to tell jokes anymore? Doesn't HR haul you in if you tell one of them?
This is what I think will actually happen. I think that AI will force people to be more creative, to think outside the box, to be able to think.
How is the tagline? Real news, honest views. Damn, bam, bam, bam. It's so good. I love the taglines here. Just buy a house. That's the solution to homelessness. Oh my God. That's the logic.
Think more laterally.
Yep.
I see the things that AI comes up with, and this might sound a bit wanky, whatever, but you see something written by AI, and as a writer, it kind of makes you sick, because it is so incredibly banal, cliched.
But you're a very good writer.
It's not creative at all. That's the thing.
It's not
AI,
creative, no.
with generative AI, it is remarkably good at creating things like songs, even artworks it can do pretty well. But it's always looking at what is already in the public domain and then digesting that. That element of human inspiration and creativity that is so exciting, I don't think it can replicate. But it is interesting. Labor has a target. They want to see 55% of Australians attain a university degree. And when you look at that, it doesn't make sense given the fact that all the skill shortages are in blue-collar jobs.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I think Labor obviously wants everyone to finish high school, and Jason Clare is really, really big on that. But their shift is actually, their focus is actually shifting away from uni and focusing towards TAFE and trying to get as many people in the TAFE system as possible and start to reprioritise blue-collar jobs, which is good for the Labor Party, because the Labor Party should be a blue-collar party, not a white-collar party. And also that is, I'm only half joking, that is where, we've got literally tens of thousands of dollars worth of work that needs to be done, and we are struggling to find a plumber and a tiler and an electrician, all that stuff, because they are just in such high demand. And I think we need to not destigmatise. That's probably the wrong word, but I think over the last couple of decades there was this sort of expectation that a successful student.
These guys are saying nothing as well, though. Come on, let's be honest. Solution to job cuts is to apply ice. that was savage. That is, and they're going through the American economy right now. Kind of seems like AI is going to take the jobs that don't actually contribute to the economy. Yeah, for many Western nations, industrialized nations, they're screwed because they don't really have a lot of value adding components to them, or half of their sectors that they rely on is not value adding. Ironic, the people who used to say just learn code are losing their jobs. Snap. AI could lead to mass unemployment. Oh no, who could have foreseen such an outcome? Sky News Australia hosts are easily replaced by AI. That's hilarious. Look at this outlier. Are you allowed to say that? Well, it won't matter with you unless AI can replace an unemployed person. I'd like to see AI sell Ada to all its nephew's friends. Of course it can. That is what they should be worried about. The channel Sky News Australia should be on free-to-air TV in major cities, as it has in some of the regions. There are no conservative voices left on free-to-air television or radio. AI is the digital equivalent of a nuclear bomb. Oh my God. Savage. AI to replace unemployed people. Then we all need to worry. That's funny. It is a funny point. Not if you're working in construction. Dun, dun, dun. Quite honestly, I would love to see AI replace overpaid celebrities. Be nice to see good acting and zero political opinions. Get into healthcare. We have been short-staffed for decades. AI can't do what nurses do. Almost any and every job with a person in front of a computer will, not may, be replaced by AI. Prepare for massive unemployment. It doesn't seem to be enjoying that at all, do they? The list of things AI can do is exponentially longer than what AI can do. Think about that for a minute. That's a clever comment. I like that. There's some interesting people that troll through Sky News. AI has already adversely affected sporting events, tennis, linesmen, footy refs, goal line technology. Interesting. As I've repeatedly said before, AI will lead to economic collapse. A jobless population will not be able to pay taxes or afford goods and services. No, they won't. Greed for sure will be the demise of this world, and they need to put guidelines in place to where this cannot take everybody's jobs. A lot of them were fired. That were fired were game developers. Some were HR and useless management. That's all that's going to be left, man. It's going to be HR and experience management. I was a CPA. It took years to become a CPA. AI could learn what took me years in nanoseconds. I'm glad to be retired. That's a scary one, isn't it? Because accountants are pretty kind of, it's rules-based, right? AI can easily replace newsreaders' jobs with minimal effort and do a superior job. No wonder why Windows is crap and bloated nowadays. It even has more bugs than before. As anyone who works in AI, this isn't mass unemployment. This is job extinction event. Start of it will be in 10 years due to how slow most businesses adopt and government regulations will happen. Oh, there's a big call there. Terminator was never about physical robot uprising. The machine domination was a bit more deeper than that. Interesting. Oh, there's some insightful commentary from the Sky News audience there. Hope you enjoyed that little dabble into their culture. Don't think maintenance jobs are safe. Yeah, AI runs Australian iron ore trains and trucks too. They have automatic trucks and stuff like that. Remember when we were worried about offshoring as the biggest threat? We still kept jobs. Yeah, it just went somewhere else, but there were still humans, I guess. I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, I don't know. The consensus is not out. Is AI going to take your job? It depends what you're doing. If you're an accountant, a lawyer, if you're in data entry, customer service, good luck to you. If you want to be a plumber, you go for it. It's going to be a long time before they start investing the capital that's required to actually do physical work of that nature. Way too sophisticated. But robotics is advancing rapidly. And the Chinese are on the forefront of that, can I just say? Absolute forefront. Yo, man, don't have a piece of paper saying you own this idea, man. Too bad, man. Those are my ideas now, man, because this guy has a piece of paper that says my piece of paper is legit. Tech bros. I can't believe I missed that one before. But yeah, jury's not out. I don't think they're going to replace your jobs anytime soon, but the hype train will continue because they need the business sector to eat, drink the Kool-Aid. Finishing off with a little Sky really does perch the cherry on top of a lovely stream. Thanks. Thank you very much, Sherry Poppins. So appreciate it. Squeeb as well. It's been good. Ollie Atlas, LARPed Jeff, Jag in there, Dilemmas. It's good to have you all today. Thanks for your input. I'm just here to watch a trash fire coming in too for a little bit. Thanks for everyone who's been lurking in the background too. I said dilemmas, didn't I? Pretty sure I did. Thank you very much for your commentary and Avalava in the stream chat, keeping it going. Oh, we had some interesting forays into popular culture today as well. I guess I'm gonna have to watch this Office Space then, just so I'm down with this type of commentary if it comes up again. But we will be back tomorrow, probably Twitch files tomorrow. So we're gonna be back on Twitch and then we'll finish off the week on Friday on YouTube. So same time, different place tomorrow. If you are available, come over to the Twitch files and we'll pick it up from there. So yeah, thanks for your contributions. And until next time, please remember, I am, you are, we are a mystery. Take a blunt, feet up, rest up, watch Office Space. Good advice as always. Thank you, Squid. Until tomorrow.